I'm a big believer of, I don't believe in what's the phrase you call the zero sum game, right? I don't believe in just one party taking all.
Sure.
I think the mentality should be, let's build a bigger pie that everyone can have a piece of the action. So I'm a big believer of that, and I think crypto and Web3, the whole decentralization movement from 15 years ago, should be the way of moving forward.
Love it. We have some SOAR representation here. Maybe from your perspective, who is this most beneficial for? I see SOAR and I think, well, you kind of get this community, and you have Impulsor, who maybe doesn't need that bootstrapping from 0 to 1, but I think really that's the most powerful proposition SOAR offers, is you have that 0 to 1 built-in community from the start. You have users maybe as soon as you go live. In your opinion, maybe a quick introduction as well before you get started, what's the most beneficial aspect of this SOAR standard?
Hi guys, yeah, thank you for having me. My name is John. I'm the co-founder and CPO of SOAR. For some quick clarification, DRP is digital representation of participation. I think we said the debt repayment program earlier.
Kind of works out too, though, huh?
It's very similar, I guess you could say. But yeah, so as far as like SOAR fitting into the ecosystem and why it's so beneficial to people, for a long time we've had consumer protection laws that basically gatekeep access to early stage venture, right? And so like Patrick mentioned earlier, you have OpenAI, which is going to IPO at $1 trillion market cap, which is absurd. But really the core there is that the upside has pretty much been extracted to the fully by the time it gets to the public. And so kind of what SOAR is offering is a way to get access to that upside at an earlier stage. And so that's kind of like the most meaningful part of SOAR. It's access early, right? And so you can participate in these companies. You can be a part of that growth. And like Patrick mentioned, join the community. Yeah.
Why has that been missing for so long, right? We saw this wave of ICM, and that's when we really first saw Web2 companies coming over and launching a token, many of whom had no real plans for this token. But we started to see that emergence there. And I think since that's when SOAR was maybe born. I'm not sure how long you guys have been working on this, but why has no one really attempted to fill this gap that's so meaningful?
Yeah, we saw some people do it sort of successfully initially, but it became very apparent that they were just businesses as memes, essentially. But I think that really triggered maybe an emotional feeling in these holders that like, maybe we deserve more, right? And so there became a demand where holders wanted access to those companies and they wanted a meaningful representation in them. And so at SOAR, we were like, okay, this is a huge market. This is something that we can do. And we're reaching a point with like regulatory clarity that this is now possible. And so with all that given in context, SOAR kind of put things together and we made DRP, which is a structure that's sort of been existing in traditional finance for a long time. It's inspired by the WOFI, which is just, it's basically the structure where China had restricted certain industries for foreign investment. And so by setting up like a WOFI plus a VIE, foreign investors can participate in that VIE, and then through proxy to the WOFI, they have an investment, right? And so SOAR is just basically applying that to a crypto market.
Yeah, you see these utility tokens, and it almost feels like so much of it is forced, right? I have this utility token, but all I'm doing is using it as an option for payment at checkout. There's no utility token because the utility is kind of intrinsic. It's built in, right?
Yeah. So we kind of like to say that utility is a meme, or it's like a construct. It's something we created as a product of not being able to give a token inherent
Actual
value.
Utility.
Yeah. And like really the only utility we want is participation in that company, right?
Sure.
And so like when you throw everything away and you like take a step back, it's really just about that participation. And so yeah, we kind of say utility is a meme and we'd like to get rid of it. And like there is a place for utility. You have like gas tokens, like Solana, you have to own the token to use the chain. That makes sense. But we've like constructed utility into so many things where it doesn't really make sense, right? Like you mentioned payments, like why wouldn't you just use the dollar? The dollar is the best form. Yeah.
Maybe opinions from both of you on this. What domino has to fall for people to realize this standard is important and it's maybe the future and what we want to see going forward? What has to change? What has to happen? One of these companies IPOs, maybe CPT or?
I think the turning point will be the first liquidity event on SOAR, frankly. I think when people get to see what happens in that time and kind of like these holders getting to reap rewards, essentially, that will be a very big turning point for SOAR. I think it will kind of like that's the full life cycle, right, of a token on SOAR, where you initially launch, you build a community, you gain participants, and then finally like the liquidity event, right?
Can you explain how that looks? And Patrick, maybe you can get your take on that too in a second, but can you explain how that looks for the people that aren't familiar? Let's say liquidity event is a company getting acquired. Now they owe this debt to the holders technically. Maybe explain that whole process for us.
So functionally, the debt is owed to SOAR, the company itself. It is not owed to the holders. We say that legally speaking. And discretionarily, SOAR can choose to do with those funds as they please. But that like distribution and kind of, we can't promise it, of course, but that distribution can come in a variety of ways. Some of it could be an airdrop, it could be a redemption, it could be back into the chart, it could be through liquidity, it could be back into the SOAR ecosystem. But at the end of the day, it's really just to take those funds and kind of move it back into the SOAR ecosystem.
Got you. And Patrick, maybe we go back to that initial question. What domino has to fall for this standard, for this idea to really hit home for everyone?
When I first met John and the rest of the team, I was still getting to understand what ICM is. And I believe that what happened, I think in 2025, one of the main things was there are other kind of similar launch pads where people did it out of this like gambling stroke crypto kind of mentality where, oh, let's make a few bucks, so let's do it. But the issue is what we're doing very differently this time, and why I believe in the SOAR platform is the fact that there's actually real value and the real growth in real companies that are launching on the SOAR platform. And that's the biggest differentiator of all the other things. And the other things I'm talking about, the other tokens are essentially just meme coins where people make a buck out of speculation and not a real utility, right? So I've been in crypto since 2015, as I said before. And in that 10 years now. And what's happened is, but I've known about Bitcoin and crypto since probably like 2010, 2011, but I didn't really invest because I thought it was a scam. And right now, to be honest, I'm still not a big believer of the utility of Bitcoin, but it doesn't mean I don't believe in the value of Bitcoin, right? It's basically like you're buying your wife or your girlfriend a Chanel or Hermes handbag. It's not worth $20,000, but people are willing to pay $20,000 because of the brand and the name. But the bag only costs like $50 to make. Yeah. But it's the marketing, the infrastructure that they put in. And because people are willing to pay for it, a lot of money for secondhand or for like, I don't know what you call the secondary market, it means that it is worth that money because there's someone willing to buy it, and that's created the market. And the same thing for crypto right now, for example, Bitcoin, is people are willing to pay $80,000, $85,000, $90,000 for a Bitcoin because other people are willing to pay. So it's become mainstream. So there's no utility, but it's worth that amount of money, right? So in the same thing here is once we have a few more companies and people see that there's actually real value inherently in the investment or the participation, or in terms of how the company is valued and where the real value is coming through, then people will see the real value, and then that's where people will want to participate.
John, I mean, that brings up an interesting question. John, we see so much of retail or so much of crypto is driven by retail. We're here at Met Breakpoint, it's Finance Week. There are lots of institutions, VCs here. When you think about SOAR, who's buying these tokens in the future? Is it institutional geared? Is it retail geared? What's your thoughts there?
So when we founded SOAR, we thought of the life cycle of a token to sort of occur in 3 phases. And so at the first phase, you kind of have your high frequency traders. They're still retail, but I guess you call them the trenchers, right? And these guys provide the initial spike of volume and volatility. And then second to that, you would have like your retail buyer, right? These guys aren't moving fast, but they're going to go on the platform. They're going to look at a token. They're going to see CPT, for example, and say, I really like this company. I'm going to buy a couple tokens, right? And so that's like your second stage of liquidity and volume. And then your final stage is ideally institutional investment, right? Where an institution comes and looks at CPT, for example, and says like, we want a big piece of this. So we're going to start, a DCA, right? Or something like that. And it can occur on chain or it can occur through an acquisition, something like that. But it is 3 phases where it's like the trencher, the retail audience, and then institutional.
What kind of relationship building are you doing with institutions right now?
So we're actually out here for that reason, partially. We're speaking to liquid funds. I think that is kind of like the ideal audience for your institutional investor, right? Yeah. We have a liquid asset. We want people to take position in those. So that's kind of like the institutional side of things.
Patrick, maybe driving this question to you a little bit. As an investor yourself, do you think there's a future, or if you maybe saw what SOAR was doing earlier on, do you think you as a family office, as an individual, would go and invest in these companies through a platform like SOAR?
From which standpoint?
From the standpoint of, for example, Defiance Media, you're an investor in. If you saw they launched a token and let's say you didn't have access to investing, because we know a lot of these investments are who you know, right? It's access gated. Would you go through a platform like SOAR? Or do you think there needs to be some more development, some more proof of use cases or past cases?
I think for myself personally, yes, because I believe in the platform and similar platforms. But I think for a lot of traditional family offices or high net worth investors, it'll still take a bit of time for the adoption. And that goes to John's point on institutions. I think it will come. It might take a bit of time because it's all about education. Even us, I think how many have we launched now? 5 companies now, curated or verified. And I think you need a lot more for people to understand and to accept and believe in what SOAR is doing, and it's legit and it's happening before people will come in. And once you built up, like you said, the trenchers and the retail guys, the institutions will come, but it'll be at a later stage.
I've been thinking about this recently. You see private companies, and of course we've talked about a few on this podcast here. You see private companies staying private for so long and not IPOing. It almost feels like crypto and the Rails crypto set up for liquid, tradable, 24/7 markets. It's like the perfect convergence to make private markets accessible to people. I guess when you think about these private companies, why are companies staying private so long, and why would they maybe opt to launch a token rather than IPO or go public?
They're probably not ready yet. They're probably not big enough. And they probably need more money to scale. I mean, the purpose of IPO essentially is obviously you want to raise capital, you want to go public so that people see that you're more credible. The access to capital will be much larger once you become public. So that's the reason. But you have to jump through a lot of hoops and due diligence to be able to get there, right? And a lot of these companies may not have the ability or the resources to be able to do so. So going through SOAR and the ICM Launchpad is a way of trying to bring in another community of fans that will help the business.
John, do you have a take on that? Any reason? I mean, there's a lot of regulatory restrictions too. When you go public, you have to, you took Fubo TV public, there's a lot that comes with that. Do you think people would rather stay private and launch a token over going public to avoid some sort of regulations? Or in your opinion, what are the benefits?
I think it's a venue where you can create a liquid market essentially for your company. And that can be before an IPO. And so where in the IPO, you have to go through all those securities regulations and jump through all those hoops. With SOAR, you can just create a liquid market, gain exposure to retail quite quicker. We've spoken to companies previously where it's like, we want to go to a public market and we want to gain retail exposure because the industry we're in is quite hot right now, but we can't do so in a quick amount of time. It's like, it can take us a year or 2 years or 3 years to get IPO'd. And then we've already missed our window for retail exposure. And so on SOAR, you can get that retail exposure pretty much instantly.
Patrick, you've been through this process. What's it like taking a company public?
I mean, it takes a lot of work, it takes a lot of experience, and dealing with lawyers, accountants, the entrepreneurs, the management team, and also investors on the side. Takes a lot of planning, strategy. Timing is very important in terms of when you enter the market. So there's a lot of moving parts, but it is very lucrative once it's done.
This has been a great conversation. We got to wrap up here. Maybe each of you guys give some closing remarks, and I would love to hear some alpha from SOAR. What's coming? What are you excited for? And then CPT, you guys got a lot in the pipeline, which you're working on. Maybe drop a little bit of teasers.
Sure. Yeah. SOAR just released DRP 1.0, which is our latest revision of the DRP standard. It's more conducive to founders and holders. Whereas rather than minting our entire supply out the gate, we have dilutions in the future. Those dilutions can be voted on by holders, but it's not a final call. The holder or the founders still make the final call. So we have that coming out. We're going to be shipping our iOS app probably in January. No promises there, but that should capture a larger retail audience. And then, yeah, just lots of really good companies coming up over the next couple of weeks into the new year.
Sweet, John. Thanks.
So CPT and Impulsor, we have a lot of very exciting news coming. We're now in December. So before the end of the year, we're going to have 2 or 3 major announcements, which I won't say right now, but one is an IoT product. 2 is a drone demo. We're going to have a few patents, which will be filed, which we'll release data on. And then we're launching our workshop in Geneva in December. Cool. And then 26th, we're going to see a lot of different products. And then more importantly is we're going to see revenue coming in.
That's what we want, right? Well, guys, I appreciate you coming on. Super impressive stuff that's going on with both Impulsor and SOAR, and wildly excited for the future of both of them. So thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sweet.
All right, guys. GMCG. What you saw right there pre-show was from our Met Dobby live stream. Actually, sorry, not live stream, podcast. Sorry, just a second. Sorry. So that was our Met Dobby podcast that we did. Shout out Meteor for providing that opportunity to us. That was the first time we met Patrick. Patrick has a background where he took Fubo TV. He acquired it, I believe, for $60 million, took it public, and it ran to a $9 billion valuation, and was really like a massive trade. And so he has this really big capital markets reputation. And so it's just like an operator that, is using and is really excited about ownership tokens, really excited about kind of where this is headed with SOAR, and is probably one of the bigger entrepreneurs we've seen take this quite seriously. So when I mean seriously, putting his own businesses behind this, and his kind of view of Impulsor is that Impulsor will become, maybe the next kind of, transportation, aerospace, space, I don't know, engineering behemoth, maybe the next Anduril. I don't know. That's what we're trying to find out. So we have Roman coming on in about 25 minutes. Today's conversation will be a little different than Patrick's. Today, if you heard my last time I had Roman on, we talked a lot around LifeFinder, CPT. We will be having a little more of an engineering-based discussion. I like leading these more engineering-focused chats because I think they're interesting, and I am more interested, or I'm as interested in the technology as I am the token and crypto side of it. So But we'll take a little quick check in on here on markets, and I'm going to show a couple things that I'm looking at. So we see Bitcoin here is bouncing nicely back to 91, back above 90K. I think 90K is a really key level here to hold. The question that we're all asking ourselves, is this a higher low, or is this going to break down further? There is definitely a solid probability that you could see this kind of continue lower and grinding lower and then flushing out, flushing out again, flushing out leverage, etc. I think that would be fairly painful to a lot of people. If I think what's the most painful pathway, that definitely would be it. Although we've had a lot of leverage flush already. So we'll see. Just to maybe like hint on a few things here. So yesterday, Chill put out this green box of an area to watch where bulls might be stepping in. And if we follow up actually on this, that area definitely hit. So right here, you would have had that wick come into that 89K area, and then it is actually bounced out of it. So Chill TRD called it yesterday and posted it on the timeline. As you can see here, again, hit that 89K area. So shout out Chill. Love it. Greetings, boys. Hey, King's Mentality. Glad to have you on as always. Please talk about ICM. Yeah, I'm going to pull that up and have a look at some of the latest ICM run updates. Market pumping. I wouldn't say it's pumping, guys. Like we need to hold this area and, you know, kind of, you know, maybe definitely move higher. So I think we're more in a holding pattern right now on Bitcoin. Look at this, Calio. Welcome to the Golden Bull Run. Oh my goodness. If this plays out here, I think a lot of lives will be changed. I would like to say that US policy in terms of, let's say, interest rates declining, stimmy checks, stuff that go search Scott Bessent on X. I actually kind of called out a few things that Scott's been talking about lately that I think are quite bullish. These kind of pro industry, pro growth, deregulation policies. Obviously, this is something that's bled into crypto regulation as well. This thesis obviously gets crypto people super excited. We've seen gold kind of signal that this environment and trade could potentially be existing in terms of something that's fairly not correlated to the economy, something that might be seen as a flight to a you know, safety, which gold has played in the last kind of 2 years. You know, I'd love for this to play out. Maybe Bitcoin does that. Other than that, what else did Chill have here? I think we're bullish, and I want to remain bullish. Shout out Umbra. Keep an eye on Umbra here as well. This is a MetaDAO project. If you don't have Umbra on a chart, you need to. Crew will be on MCG in the coming weeks. They had just wrapped up a security audit in December. It looks like they're ready to do integrations. And what drove this pump here was a lot around the ore speculation, which ore was really hot at the time. And so I think if that ore speculation is true and Umbra's SDK is being used for privacy in a bunch of different applications, Umbra price is way higher. I think my thesis here ultimately on privacy is even today, even after a decade of talking about anonymous transactions in crypto, we still don't have them yet. Like I still on a day-to-day basis, people can pull up SoulScan in a wallet I transacted with and go see what I've bought and sold. So we need to change that a little bit. There needs to be a little more, I don't want to say like obfuscation, I think is good. It's not that you're using privacy for nefarious things. I think you're just using it in the same way your bank account isn't public to everyone else. So I'd love to see that. Zcash put the narrative on the map. Umbra trading at, what is this? I think it trades at like 14 million. Let me check real quick. Go to my MetaDAO list. Umbra trades at 14 million market cap, fully diluted 40 million. But yeah, if this gets any sort of traction, I mean, this could, I could see something like this be worth about 200 million in the right market. If Vici hit 100 million on what is essentially a front end to a banking system, I think something like a privacy protocol well integrated with a good tokenomics could get up into that 200 million. All right. How about ICM? Just give me a second here, guys. I need to set up my Mobi screener here. All right. ICM. Okay. So we're going to tab over to ICM here. Don't love this price action, guys. I'm not going to lie. I definitely am a big believer in the team, contributor as well. And, we like definitely what they've done. I think it's the right idea. I just think ICM hasn't been hot, like in general, in terms of narrative. This has not been a hot narrative for a while, probably going back to, the October timeline. I think Believe really killed any momentum this had. And then we've seen MetaDAO kind of pick up, but I don't think ICM Run has really participated in anything MetaDAO related. So that kind of narrative hasn't flowed through. However, what I'd say at this point, if you still hold tokens, I think you're making a bet largely on obviously Mercy and incubating kind of really great projects. And there's a team around Mercy that's quite good. I like the bet here at 1.6 mil. I think if you have some fresh capital and you're able to take some long-term stabs, this is a good place to look. So, I hold some ICM, and I know a number of people in ICM Run are good actors. But yeah, this is sold off. So we definitely kind of want to see this find a bottom here. I think you're closer to a bottom than a top. Let's just say that. Market pumping, it is and it's not. Ave, what's up, GM? Good to see you. Studio looking quality. Yeah, look, a King's mentality. We did pretty good last year. I'm not gonna lie. We definitely built a good business, and we were supported by some great sponsors up here, and has allowed us to kind of level up. And so, yeah, I have a new studio that I've developed. We're going to help Dom also build out a little bit of a studio. And yes. Yo, Josh, I saw your clues. You wore the XMR cap, and XMR is outperforming the market. Definitely the strongest. All right, well, let's check in on XMR. XMR is a legacy token, largely promoted by a guy named Fluffy Pony, who ended up, I believe, going to jail for some time around, I think, some unrelated kind of nonsense. But let's see. Probably Bitfinex would have the longest data. I'll just use this. I do have an XMR cap. Now, funny enough, my mother-in-law bought me the XMR hat. But I've never, I used to trade XMR back on Poloniex, but I'm actually not a holder. And I don't really know much about the thesis around XMR other than it is privacy at its base protocol layer. And it has similar, I think, inflation mechanics to like a Bitcoin. But I mean, look at this chart. Beautiful chart. I participated in XMR trading back in here, guys. I think I own this thing at like $4 or $12. I mean, I started investing in XMR and in crypto really early. And I mean, it went crazy. I missed a good chunk of this move, but I did make some money on XMR on this first run. And then we've seen it now here starting to break out. So I do actually really like this chart just because I think the token has got huge distribution, a lot of trading infrastructure in terms that it's listed on a lot of different exchanges and diverse liquidity sources. So I would say, I mean, keep an eye on this, keep it on a chart, but you could definitely get some trades out of this. I think this is quite bullish looking. Keep in mind, they always say retail buys breakouts. And again, this is breaking out, but I think this is a little different because it's a 5 or 6 year kind of breakout. So, yeah, good shout out there. When do you think we'll get the new laws to drop regarding startups on crypto? That could be massive. Yes, I think Abe, this is the missing piece. There's a lot of I don't think this affects retail as much, retail capital flow. I think what it affects is a lot of traditional investment capital flow. There are a lot of organized capital, family offices, wealth out there that just by the nature of their policies, investment policies, can't even touch any of this stuff. And that's kind of the long-term sticky capital that startups almost require to form their funding rounds. And in kind of the ICM narrative and metas, we had obviously the startups, but we didn't have that long-term sticky capital. So I'm not worried about retail affecting retail. I think retail today already trades some of the stuff, but I think definitely a lot of it is that long-term sticky capital that will look at these projects at a very early stage and they will become investable. So definitely agree. When do I think that regulation will hit? I have no idea. I said January, but then I got a fair amount of pushback. I don't remember why I thought January. Got a fair amount of pushback, and it definitely probably is not going to be January, but it will come. And I think it almost like has to happen for people to see value in it. We did a thesis on Met, obviously big Met bulls here, and I'll get to ALG in a second. I mean, go watch this video on Chill's profile. You will see kind of our thesis there. And you know what? Maybe I'll take a minute just to play this. It's a good clip. All right. I'm going to give you guys the 1.25x. So
you kind of said Met kind of acts as this broader exposure to what's happening on chain, especially with the way they're positioning around ownership and powering that entire sector. I don't know if you guys saw this just a few days ago, the Kawisi letter. I mean, you guys got to follow him. But anywho, he said, breaking news, Solana on-chain spot volume officially overtakes all off-chain exchanges except Binance in 2025 at $1.6 trillion. Since 2022, Solana on-chain volumes have surged from 1% of total volume to 12%. In 2025, Solana surpassed Bybit, Coinbase, BitGet, all in total volume. Meanwhile, Binance's share has declined from 80% to 55% since 2020.
So there you go. The big thesis.
Oh, so the world is coming on chain. Being on Solana is the best place to be. And I quote tweeted this news here because I wanted to say that Solana is the best place to be in crypto right now. It's a spot with the most trading volume, the most opportunities, and underneath that, you also have Met. You have the pioneer of this ownership model, and you see that coming together with SOAR being the front runner in their decisions. And so you have the basically almost number one or about to be number one in volume in crypto, Solana. And then you have one of the top tokens on the chain, Meteora, positioning themselves well. So I think this is bullish Meteora and it's bullish for our thesis.
I think the only reason Meteor is so sold off is because of the extreme fear in the market and the free money people got from airdrops. I think it's pretty clear. And we've talked about this before we've given the thesis, so I'm not going to harp too much on it. But absolutely, the sell pressure is largely in part from people that got free money from the airdrops with a large 40% unlock. And I think they're running out of clips and chips to sell off of. I also think people are realizing that boom, Meteor is the highest DeFi yield generating protocol, beating Uniswap, beating Jupiter, beating some of the other major DeFi protocols that everyone knows. Yet this is trading at 150 million market cap. Like it's trading below what they took home last year in revenue alone. So it's a little bit silly. Now, when Soju starts leaning more into the SOAR standard, the DRP model, I'm talking about the token. There is no equity. It's just a token. Well, okay, now we know the token's value is tied to the company in some way, and he's iterating on that, figuring it out. I do think 150 mil is kind of despicable, to say the least.
Yes, that's the Meteor thesis. This is our one of our top holdings, like in terms of us at MCG is, of course, we're sponsored by Meteor, so disclosure there. However, I fundamentally just think this is the play to watch. Here you have a nice pullback actually from the 30-cent highs. I would say this outperforms Solana. My bet is that this outperforms Solana over the next couple of years. And if Solana performs really well, and remember, Met trades against Sol predominantly, so it gets that kind of leverage upside. If it performs, Sol performs well on dollar terms, and then Met performs well as an ecosystem against Sol and continues to print and eat into pump funds market share and Radium, et cetera's market share, Uniswap's market share. I think this is a huge winner. At $150 million, you have MetaDAO is priced higher, who uses Meteor's tech. Like MetaDAO is worth more than Met. So Meteor is a top pick. I'll just pull up Meta actually real quick, just so we can see, because I actually was seeing some positive price action on the Meta ecosystem. We had this huge run up to the $11 spot here. It has pulled back. I think this is a great area, great range to be looking. If you're looking risk reward here, you have this kind of trading range here, right? Roughly speaking, and it's pulled back into the range. So you definitely want to be longing here rather than buying on this breakout. And I think, if MetaDAO gets traction, people will go down the list of Meteor-based products and ecosystems and say, okay, I think Meteor itself is undervalued because the trading is there, the products to trade are there. It's way more serious than a pump fund. Pump fund has got huge legal problems ahead of it. RICO cases, issues with bundling. It's like, I think Pump is in a bit of world of hurt here. So yeah, I just think Meteor is primed to win. And disclosure again, they do sponsor the show, and we also hold a fair amount of Met tokens. All right, ALG. All right. ALG got a nice pump. It did. Algon. So there's two, I'll put in this bucket. There's ALG and there is another one, ZDLT. ZDLT does a delta neutral basis trade, and Algon does Forex, I believe delta neutral trading, or has some sort of trading bot. I think last time we talked to the Algon guy, is their AUM, the assets that they had a couple $100K in AUM. It was as big as the market cap. But yeah, this is getting a nice pump. Let's see if I can check in on any news. I like the rebranding they did. It was nice, a nice rebrand. Let's see if we have any news here. This chart looks pretty good, to be honest. I think you want to wait to see some sort of pullback here for an entry. I mean, like if you got it fading down into 300K here, I would say this is a pretty good area to look for longs. I don't know if you want to necessarily buy into, straight into this move. There's been a lot of follow through trades that have just not followed through in this market. You got to be pretty strategic and patient for entries. They did a burn and buyback. Okay, let's see. Checks out, definitely. I think, look, they're a trading team. Okay, it says their profile doesn't exist on Mobi, so that's not updated. But let me go search ALG. And guys, I don't do dark mode on my X account, so sorry if this hurts your eyes. Okay, crypto sad. Let's see. Okay. Average returns of 15% per month. So one thing, I mean, people say like, okay, those returns are outrageous, and they are outrageous. This is like hedge fund, high performing hedge fund kind of returns. The one thing I'll say here is that you can actually go look at the Bybit vault that Algon trades against. So it's actually quite transparent in how it works. So let's see. They mentioned the revenue comes from a small percentage of profit sharing credited to the vault. The Bybit vault works with 400,000. Geez. So last time we talked to them, this was, I think, about 150 to 200K. Now 400,000. They got 100K deposited by VC. Yeah, this is a common thing where we see. This is called systematic trading strategies. So some of these trading teams will get checks from LPs that then they would earn, let's say 50% of the profits on that 100K. The industry standard's more like a 2% management fee and 20%. I forget what the gentleman said was their profit split, but okay. So making the token deflationary, we love that. 100% ALG fees, 50% Bybit vault revenue, 50% of KOL vault revenue. Oh, interesting. All will go to token buyback and burn up to 1 million market cap. Okay. So they're trying to suck in a little of the slack in the market. Burning treasury supply. Oh, interesting. 4% burn. I'm comfortable investing in a project that is working. Yeah. This is really good. I mean, this is still on Believe. Keep in mind. I'm assuming they have migrated it. Let's see. Bybit Vault. Okay, let's see this. All right, so here's their Bybit Vault. Master. Okay, let's go 90 days. Jesus Christ. 80% win rate. Their max drawdown is 2%. Oh my goodness. Wow, even their followers have made money. Okay, and I think what happens here is Bybit traders can actually deposit in here. So if they're earning also those fees as well, and this gains more traction, I think, wow, this is very interesting. So Sortino ratio here is interesting. So how this works is a Sortino ratio works for every percent of drawdown. What do they have? They have 1.6% of return on a 1% of drawdown. I think a really good Sortino is like in the 2 to 4 range, and like anything higher than that is you're on an absolute heater. But I think the one caveat to the Sortino here is that they do a lot of trades. It's a lot of trades, and keep in mind this is FX markets, so forex markets aren't very volatile. And yeah, they did a buyback. Okay, well, Algon, I think definitely top something. You have to have this ALG at 400K. You have to have this on a chart. The magic here with these types of systematic trading strategies is the bigger the treasury gets, it has this really large compounding effect. And if they stay consistent, that could be a huge winner. All right, guys, need a sip of water there. That's ALG. I didn't have anything else. We covered some of the pump fund stuff yesterday. I'll just tee up a little bit on Impulsor. So you've seen Impulsor a lot on our timeline recently. I think this is a really, really fascinating company because it's uncrypto related from the sense that its core business is focused on defense applications, security applications, aerospace applications. And it's just like something we've never seen really in crypto. And I think what we're about to see with the regulation changing is a lot of these, I hate to use the word Web 2, but traditional companies doing token models, raising capital on chain versus doing other traditional routes of capital raising. And we might see those kind of tier one robotics companies, tier one defense companies, and drones. And if you look at the industrial policy of the current Trump administration, it's very much focused on defense, domestic production, and these types of industries. And actually just yesterday, there was a executive order talking about capping defense executive pay. I think the famous one is Boeing CEO is making $60 million while the business was underperforming. And so, yeah, I think CPT is my biggest bag. Yeah, it's actually one of my bigger holdings too. And we do hold it also through the MCG Treasury. So a little disclosure there. But with that, I'm going to bring up the man Roman, who is head of product at CPT. Roman, how are you doing?
Yeah, good. Can you guys hear me?
I can, loud and clear. Yay.
Wow. Wow. What a day.
It's always a good day when Roman's audio works perfectly. That's been an ongoing joke with Roman joining, is the audio is always
yeah, and Patrick had audio issues for a couple of seconds, right, on the one on
Yes.
Tuesday. And it was funny because it was the first time I actually started watching the show as well.
Yes.
So I was like, man, I'm bringing the bad luck straight to Patrick as well.
That's hilarious. Yeah, I don't know what happened there with Patrick, but we just kind of hung on and it overcame. Sometimes microphones are finicky and we'll pick up typing or something that comes through. So I don't know. Anyways, yeah, Roman, what's going on with you? I mean, the last conversation we had before the break, we got into some engineering chat. I think people like this because just how ambitious Impulsor is. They want to know kind of how deep it goes, and it feels Star Wars, but we want to know how close we are to Star Wars.
We're right there. We're really right there. A lot of the products are either in manufacturing or have basically kind of manufacturing has been completed, development has completed, and we're gearing up. So it's literally around the corner. Yeah.
Awesome. We talked about LifeFinder last time, was our first kind of product. You introduced the product. Maybe we'll start just high level, like talk about where kind of Impulsor is now in terms of its product rollouts. Where are you guys at in your life cycle of rolling and commercializing these products?
Yeah, so as a lot of the audience is aware, we have 3 verticals of products, right? We have RF, we have MagRes, and we have optical. So for the radio frequency stuff, that's IoT devices, smart sensors, low power, but long range sort of products, be it temperature sensors or LifeFinder. Those are ready to go, and we are now in sales. But those sales are to, let's say, industrial companies, architectural companies, people that are building things. And so it takes a while to onboard those customers. That's just the nature of the IoT smart sensor game. It takes 3 months, 6 months, sometimes takes a year to onboard clients. But once you do onboard them, the reward is substantial, and then you have that customer in your ecosystem, so you can keep going back and upgrading or reservicing your products there. So it takes a while, but yeah, it's in rollout. We have people actively selling it. So it will take a little bit of time, but it'll be worth it.
Yeah, no, I agree. And in terms of the sales process, I think a lot of people want to know like how long you guys have been working on these products. So obviously, to be able to go to a client and say, "Oh, hey, here's our device, and it works, and let me demonstrate it," it means that you've done months, if not years, of research and development before that. Can you maybe just talk about
Yeah,
that
and
that
actually
before?
that's why it's so important to partner up with phenomenal companies like LifeFinder, because you see, if we came out with revolutionary product like theirs, let's say we came out with literally the same product as LifeFinder, just as ourselves, um, we could maybe do that, but do we have the credibility to go and execute that? Of course, with Patrick's and Tim's and my own credibility there in business and with our contacts, we can do that. But it's such a massive boost when you can partner with LifeFinder type companies. And we'll be showing some more partnerships that we're doing, so that we can basically join forces with them, deploy with them, and then upgrade as well at the same time or after the sale. So partnerships are crucial. No one can do everything by themselves. We do want to build the brand. So we want to get as close to the end users as possible. And working with partnerships allows us to do that.
Yeah, congrats on the new website. Looks great. I see 6 active operations. I
Yeah.
think I asked Patrick what that meant. I believe Dom did, and
But
he
you're gonna
said,
have to wait. You're gonna have to wait because that is information that's in the pipeline and is gonna come out bit by bit, and
"Okay,
you'll get further clarity on that.
all
It's
right.
a
Are
mysterious
these
number right now.
mysterious number?
Mm.
When we say operations, is this like satellite offices, or are we talking about implementations like customers?"
Well, yeah, I mean, maybe. You're gonna have to wait for that.
All right.
It's all part of the pipeline, all part of a communication process that we're gonna do, and I think people will be quite surprised how fast we're traveling. I mean, ultimately, usually our sort of companies and our industry take a long time to do anything. Well, anything in hardware takes a long time, but we're moving extremely quickly, and that's again part of our strategy to partner up with as many exciting brands and companies as possible, so that we can very quickly get from where we are today and just expand our sales, distribution, marketing, brand, everything. We just need to expand as quick as possible, and that's why we're partnering with people, and that's why that number is there, and you'll get to know more about it in due course.
I'm fired up. And we'll get to the specific products in a minute here. You have drones on your website. Very, very
Yes.
cool. Lots of cool stuff. Patrick described Impulsor as basically Starlink for energy, where you're transferring energy kind of like, I don't know, anywhere. I don't know if you want to really break down this vision from a product standpoint. Like what's your vision? How should people think about Impulsor?
Well, I
How do you
think,
describe it and what, like, okay, let me say it
yeah.
this way. I'm at a party, I'm talking to my friends. I'm excited about investing in this new tech startup.
Yeah.
How do I describe Impulsor at a party?
So Impulsor is really a technology house, and we are building future high impact solutions. And the technology which defines the most, or the most defining technology, is power. And so if you can transfer power from one place to the next, coupled with a phenomenal high quality solution, that is a revolutionary product. Like what we're doing is about as close to free energy as you can get. It's you're literally pulling energy out of the air. It's sort of like, it's as close to magic as you can get. Yeah.
I mean, people have tried perpetual motion machines and stuff like that. I see you have
No,
92
I stay away
92%
from those.
efficiency. Okay.
No, I stay away from those.
I see you see, or you have here 92% efficiency.
Mm.
This isn't crazy. Mitsubishi Heavy Industries, NTT, DARPA. There's a number of companies or organizations working on this type of technology.
Yeah.
How do you get 92% efficiency? Why do you guys think you're kind of onto something here, that this is ready now to go from labs and universities to commercialization and products?
Okay, so that's actually the fundamental reason why we, as a team of entrepreneurs, why we know that we can succeed, is because we first, especially Patrick, we talk about. So I present him what technology is available today and what other people have done, and then we together figure out a way how to bring that to market, rather than just spend every last penny, every million, every billion into just plowing into perfecting the core tech of wireless or contactless power transfer. So a lot of these companies, they're doing wonderful stuff, but they are focusing on just pushing and pushing and pushing the tech itself, rather than taking what they have, then we kind of, or taking what's there already and making it functionally, just make it a functional product from what's already there. Of course, we take what's there, we improve it, we use lateral thinking, and we innovate, and then we take it to market. Because the reality is, the US government and many governments around the world have been doing power transfer like this since the 1950s. But it takes a certain group of people to take an idea or a technology, work it, innovate on it, and then take it to a product. That's a totally different skill set.
Yeah, and shout out Moru for this post here. Actually talks a bit about some of these different entities. So if you're, I won't say that, NTT Mitsubishi collab in terms of practical implementation and more than 2 steps ahead of the Honda-backed one in terms of execution rollout. Look, there is examples here of these systems. Really quick, NTT and Mitsubishi Heavy Industries, do you know much about these entities and what they're kind of working on?
Yeah, so you always have to, how can I put this politically correctly? You have to understand that sometimes people make scientific research, let's say, right? But the scientific research takes them a certain way. And if you don't start, if the beginning of your process is to improve the tech rather than bring out a workable product, you tend to go the wrong way.
Right.
I think Elon Musk said it himself, which is one of the biggest problems with a smart engineer is solving for a solution that doesn't need to exist, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of the time, if you get like a government fund, right, and they give you $50 million, and you go, oh my gosh, I'm just gonna spend money everywhere. But the question is, are you actually taking where you are now, and are you strategically moving to where you want to be, or are you just research and developing something just for the sake of it? Like, what is the end goal? And if the end goal isn't crystal clear, then it's never going to become a business. And in the same way, since the 1950s, the US government's been doing laser transmission, microwave transmission, and they have stuff in their vaults, I don't know, in Area 51 or whatever, like just crazy stuff. But because they didn't set out to make a product, they haven't made products. Yeah. So that's why you need an entrepreneurial team to take you there.
Yeah, I think Patrick put it this way: is people don't know what they need to buy yet, and you almost have to productize something and show them a practical application. And then it's like, oh, I
Exactly.
get it. And then, but once you do that, you set an entire industry.
Exactly. It's like the iPhone moment, right? I think the BlackBerry CEO, when the iPhone came out, he said, no one's going to use it. No one's going to use a touchscreen for business because they will like the feel of the keyboard, right?
Yes.
But how wrong was he? Because people don't yet know what they want because they haven't yet experienced it. So our job as one of the first, if not the first, to commercialize it in this ethos is to show people and let them experience it and let them understand the benefits of what our solutions can provide. And again, we are developing solutions enabled by the most fundamental technology, which is power. So that's kind of how I think people should look at it.
Yeah, I as someone who grew up in Waterloo, where BlackBerry was from, that was a painful learning experience. I always wanted my RIM or BlackBerry to succeed. I show the chart not to show you, Roman, but everyone on stream, just for context. This is CPT here. You can go find it on the SOAR platform. So go over to launch on SOAR on X and go find CPT. You can find all the artifacts there, disclosures, etc. Just for everyone watching. So this is what it looks like. But Roman, I will go back to your website because I wanted to dig into a few other things. Before we get into the product side, like how big is this industry? Like if you guys are successful, if you show a successful demonstration of the S drone in February here, or when you're deciding to do it, you have your 3 product ranges. Like how big does this get, Roman?
Well, I don't want to. I mean, no one can predict the future.
No one can. No one
However, power is the fundamental defining factor of civilization, and we are deploying civilizational change, literally drawing power from the air. That's pretty huge. Everything runs on power. Even AI runs on power. Well, everybody knows that, right? But everything runs on power. Everything needs it, and it is a revolutionary technology. In fact, I think I saw an interview from Boston Dynamics CTO, I think, or one of the guys. He actually said, one of the biggest failure points on his Atlas robots used to be that the wires kept breaking where the joints of the robot were, right?
Oh, wow.
Now they've gone to, I presume, some sort of induction joint. So then you have 2 rings, and so it allows it to move in 360 degrees while maintaining data and power connection. So even inside like products like robots, even there they are getting rid of wires. Even there they're going to wireless. But that is wireless under our definition because it's induction. But perhaps we can go one step further and do contactless, i.e. MagRes.
Yes, last time we I defined the difference between induction and what you guys are doing. Really quick, do you want to reemphasize the definition?
Yeah, I mean, so we came up with the term of contactless power transfer because we want wireless doesn't quite, it doesn't feel as tangible to us, at least, as contactless, first of all. Secondly, wireless power transfer also includes induction. And as most people know, like when you're charging your phone on an induction magnetic pad, right, there's still contact, right? But with our technology, there is no more physical contact. That's why it's one step further, it's contactless. So we want to really emphasize there's no physical connection at all.
The applications, your 3: magnetic resonance, optical, and what's the third one?
Radio frequency.
Radio frequency. a vast set of applications here on
Yeah.
your website. You say this fundamentally will change the world, I believe is what you said.
It will. Yeah, absolutely. This is coming. It's just a question of which companies, which groups, which countries are going to deploy it. But it's going to happen. Like, absolutely. There's no two ways about it.
Okay, so we're fundamentally changing the world. Theoretically, that's a massive, massive market potential. And now we're kind of in the stage where you're kind of demonstrating to people, kind of like Patrick said, like you got to show them what the future is like, and to kind of seed it. Maybe I'll pause there, and that covers a lot of Impulsor. Is there specific Impulsor things that you want to share before we get into kind of some very specific engineering stuff?
No, I think that's right. And ultimately, the team is what's gonna make it happen. In this space, there hasn't been this sort of character like Patrick yet. So we feel very confident about the team. That's the most important thing. And again, we know where we're going, and that's the most important, to have a good team that knows where it's going, and that allows us to build the strategy, build the products, and effectively row in the same direction.
Yep. I completely agree. I think Patrick is attracting a lot of attention from his ability to share a vision of the future, an Elon Musk-esque type character. This was the product that we talked about last time, and we won't get too deep into it, but I want to recap it for people that are new joining us. Patrick mentioned that I believe the goal was to sell like 10,000 of these units next year as a conservative goal. Just want to hear maybe your thoughts on how this is going. If you can recap it for those that are new joining us.
Yeah, so I mean, okay, so LifeFinder is a wearable device which works with installed infrastructure. So you first install the infrastructure, which is basically a bunch of communication beacons, and and then you wear a wearable device on your wrist, on your belt, on your helmet, jacket, life jacket, whatever you want. And that device is first of all able to locate everyone who's wearing it in real time in 3 dimensions, and it can warn people. It also sends data to, say, a headquarters somewhere. It has a panic button mode. So if a crew member or a worker sees something that's critically dangerous, they can press the panic button and it alerts the whole system. And it's also an intelligence system. The wearable is intelligent. So if you fall over from a high place, or you're exposed to intense heat or some other abnormalities, it's going to warn someone. So this is a device designed to keep people safe. It's a Swedish company, very new product. They have already got some good success. And they're in their sort of early growth stage. So we partnered up with them to help them deploy this product, this solution. And in the second phase, we're going to upgrade them, their installed infrastructure and the wearables, to charge contactlessly. Whether that's going to be radio frequency or magnetic resonance, we can do both. So it will really be a choice for the customer. So that allows us to gain revenue, work with a phenomenal partner, build our customer base, and then come back to that same customer base and resell them the contactless power transfer solution. So a double dip, if you will.
Yep, I like it. And I think this is a good, you showed the beacon or the little product. You also sent me a picture of it on a hard hat. Can I share that?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, yeah, of
Let
course.
me see if I can pull that out. I don't know.
There's a lot of images of it, like um in like on a helmet, on a life vest, all of that, and there's a lot of images that I have of it being deployed on boats and ships and God knows what, and but it's quite low resolution, let's say. So we'll be going back and retaking those photos and then using it for marketing. Yeah.
Okay, I'm trying to see if I can pull this up. You sent it on WhatsApp, but to be honest with you, I don't think I can pull it up.
We can do that after, perhaps,
Yeah, yeah.
as a reminder. Yeah.
I would release some of it. Definitely just toss it out there. Some of those images, I think they're really cool to see on products. Okay, so
we definitely will, and it's something that we intend to talk a lot more about. Of course, right today and earlier this week, we kind of showed the S drone, which I think
yes,
is our goal for marketing goal for this week, maybe next week as well. I don't know. We'll see about that.
All right, let's start actually with that. And I wanted to watch that video. I had it pulled up, but I've since tabbed over. As you guys know, I'm a lone streamer today, so bear with me here. But let's go ahead and can we start by watching this video real quick?
Yeah, of course.
All right, this was from yesterday, so full screen this. Hey, you ready, everyone? This is a great one. Strap in because you feel like you're in a future.
Is there audio?
There is audio on my end. Is that not sharing to you?
I can't hear it. Maybe it's just me.
All right. That would not be out of the realm of
I'm bringing the
possibility.
technical problems. That's what I do.
All right. No, I think I had my share tab paused, but here we go. Can you hear it there, Patrick?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, we can hear.
Beautiful. That's such a great cinematic piece. What do you think of this?
I like it, of course. So no, it's going to be our I would say key product for the next 2-3 years. And I think this will be the product that I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say I think this will be the defining product.
Yeah. And I noticed that it's black and white and then it goes all of a sudden to color when the truck pops up. Any reason why that was, or is it kind of like
Dramatic effect, I guess.
All right,
I guess dramatic effect. I don't know.
Dramatic effect. This is the ground unit here of on this truck. Part of the solution is this. I don't know if you want to start here with the laser.
Yeah,
and then
absolutely.
We'll get to the drone.
Absolutely. So just like a recap for everyone, you have a power source which feeds a laser transmitter. The laser transmitter beams power to the drone, and that's how you get the optical CPT connection. So the truck is not really in shot because that is not that can change. So if a certain customer has a particular truck that they want to use, then we can absolutely use whatever truck they want, right? So that's why it's not fully in shot. Additionally, on the transmitter side, it's a very modular system. So you can basically mount the laser in whatever configuration you need. So again, it's more like a customer choice. What is going to stay quite similar across the range of products is the main fuselage, but we can go onto the we can speak about the drone in a minute. So just to recap, we have a generator, whether it's diesel or a battery pack. We don't really mind as long as it gives us the required amount of power, which is going to be, let's say, let me take a look here, between 1 to 2 kilowatts for the laser. So it's a very substantial laser going through some very substantial optics. And actually, part of the solution is the AI controlled alignment system and safety system. So that's going to be basically mounted with the laser transmitter, and that will enable precise, safe beaming of energy.
Right. And talk about those safety mechanisms and the precision mechanisms, because they're important.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so we've got to hit a rapidly moving target, especially when we're talking about the Fortitude engine, which we can talk about in a minute. So we have to hit a very small, say, tennis ball or golf ball size target that's traveling very quickly in 3 dimensions. And how we do that exactly is a patent that we are going to be filing soon. I can't tell you how we do that. There is another company which basically maxes out its tracking system for power transmission, but we'll be able to work at much higher speeds. So how exactly we align it, it's kind of a secret right now, but we will file that patent soon. The safety systems, so there's going to be a camera, which is a very high-speed camera, which is also tracking visually the drone and where the beam is. And so we'll be able to power down if it tracks something going into the beam. That's part of the AI suite that will be involved on the transmitter side. Secondly, there's a running calculation between how much power is transmitted and how much power is received. So between those 2 numbers and a bunch of very complex calculations on alignment and tracking and all sorts of other things, you're able to work out very quickly if there is an issue with a transmission, and you'll be able to bring down the power instantaneously to a safe amount, and then you'll be able to rescale it upwards just to confirm the test, basically. So there are several safety systems that are operating. Additionally, in the future, we're going to add like a laser sheath around the main power beam. So there's a power beam and a sheath. So if the sheath breaks, then we know to shut down the laser or to bring the power down substantially. So if a bird flies through, it's not going to be fried to a crisp, basically.
I was gonna say, if like I accidentally look into the laser a little bit, I'm not gonna get like totally zapped. Oh,
Oh,
funny.
it's it's a very powerful laser. There's no two ways about it. It's extremely powerful. So that's why you have to have very complex and substantial safety systems. They have to be reliable, and you have to keep people safe. Again, if you're not keeping people and stuff safe, then it's not a solution worth building. So we know how to keep it safe. We know that safety is an absolute priority for us, and we have the solutions on the way to address all of those. But yeah,
mentioned-
it's a very powerful beam.
You mentioned a 2 kilowatt laser, I believe. What is, if people don't know what 2 kilowatts is,
I'll give some
energy,
perspective,
please?
So a very focused beam of 10 watts is enough to cut through steel. So 2 kilowatts is 2000 watts, but we're not focusing it. We are using beam expanders to actually create an expanded beam rather than a very fine point. So if you are, if for example, all of the safety systems are somehow defective, or you turn it off, or some bad actor decides to do some crazy stuff, or someone builds their own 2 kilowatt laser, it can be dangerous. And that's why the solution is for law enforcement and industrial users and highly professional, specialized people.
Yeah, so the safety system also, I think Patrick mentioned buildings. It at some point, like, you need to have line of sight to the drone, obviously. If line of sight is broken, how does the drone perform? What does the drone do in that scenario?
Okay, so regarding that, so when we will deploy it to a city where there's a lot of high-rise buildings, you actually can mount the transmission units, so the laser transmitter, at the top of those high-rise buildings. So they can just go on top. The drone isn't going to be flying in and around buildings. That's not its purpose. It's going to be substantially above. So that's one way to get around it. If the beam is interrupted for whatever reason, the drone has a battery bank on there. So it can absolutely sustain flight for, let's see here, I have my cheat sheet. Yeah, so the battery itself is about 8 hours of flight time on this configuration. Wow. So it will find it'll find a little bit of time to get back on the beam.
Yeah, that's a lot of time to get back on the beam.
Additionally, there's a lot of redundant power. There's a huge amount of redundant power. So it's not like we are charging. It's not like if the beam is shut off that the drone just falls out the sky. There's batteries. We are transmitting way more power than is required for the drone to operate. That's actually part of a strategy. So you can mount more energy demanding sensors as well, and future-proof it as well.
So this demonstration here, you have this black dot, and then you have a little ball at the bottom. To be clear, so talking about the S drone specifically, because I don't know if you have anything else in your cheat sheet about power transmission.
Oh, I have a lot of things on my cheat sheet.
Hit us with a few things.
All right. So first of all, I'd like to make it very clear that this is a platform. So the drone right now is made out of several components, which the key component is the nose cone, which is so the user can then put into the nose cone whatever sensor they want from our roster of sensors. By the way, everything is going to go up on the site in the coming week or maybe two, because again, we are now ready to take reservations. We'll cover that in a minute. So the end user selects what sensors they want to be mounted into the nose as sensor modules. Then we have the fuselage. The fuselage is going to stay more or less the same. Well, in fact, the exterior of the fuselage and its core construction is the same. But we will have 5 different powertrains in the fuselage. So the end user will be able to decide whether they want battery powered, so electric ducted fan battery powered, conventional jet. We can have battery, EDF, and solar. We'll cover that in a minute, as well as laser power converters on the bottom of the wing, kind of similar to what some, let's say, like putting the solar panels on the underside of the wing. And then we have the Fortitude engine version, which is like the top of the range. So we have 5 different powertrains for the fuselage. We have several different sensor modules on the nose that you can mount. Then we have 2 configurations for wings, and all of this is plug and play. That's why it's a platform. That's why it's I think it's going to be our key product for the next 3 years, because basically it allows the users to pick exactly what configuration they need, whatever their mission requirements are. So we have the glider format, and we also will have have an X-wing format for improved stability and weather resistance. And then finally, we have the tail, which will have 2 different configurations as well, mainly for cost savings and simplicity's sake. So there's a bunch of options that you'll be able to go through and select exactly what solution you need, all the way from conventional, so cheaper, more affordable, let's say conventional, all the way up to an X-wing, V-tail, Fortitude engine, laser transmitter, generator, AI system, everything. So there's several packages, and that's why it's a platform. So you'll be able to choose exactly what you want.
Whoa. Okay.
Sorry.
There was, yeah,
There's
that's
a lot
awesome.
of info.
So the X-Wing one is really cool because we've seen, I think in some of the conflicts in Eastern Europe, we've seen a very famous version of the X-Wing drone be really efficient in its flight capability. And I think that's why X-Wing drones have become quite notable. I wonder if it's also for their VTOL capability, but how do you think of like fixed wing like this and quadcopters and X-Wings? Like, how would you think?
Okay. So you're gonna have to wait a little bit longer for the VTOL option that is on the way.
Okay.
You're always asking the right questions.
Okay.
Yeah. No. Look, this one is not VTOL. It's going to require a little runway. But the VTOL version is we'll announce it soon. Yeah. So regarding the configurations, it's really about what the customer needs. So if you need something that's going to just glide for a really long time, then you're going to go with a glider, right? The X-Wing is efficient, it's aerodynamic, but it's not as efficient as a massive glider, basically. But it is more resistant to weather. So there's lots of pros and cons that the customer will need to decide. And that's why we built it or designed as a modular system, so that you can pick and choose what you need. And actually, yeah, sorry.
No, finish your thought, please.
No, and actually that's why we're able to take reservations for this drone starting from, well, today. And anyone can as well, because yes, there's going to be CPT enabled versions, like what we saw in the video, but we're also going to deploy versions which are non-CPT, so conventional battery, EDF, electric ducted fan. So you, like, regular consumers will be able to buy it, and use it as well. So we want to build this platform.
Okay, so it's scalable across the use of applications.
Yeah.
And something like this is good for persistence. It can stay in the air. Patrick mentioned 6 days.
Yeah, so 6 days up. So with the Fortitude engine, we wanted to, and especially for so we did a case study on the LAPD, right? They have 17 helicopters and they're on rotation. So they have what they call almost all the time some sort of helicopter up. So with just 5 drones, 5 glider configuration Fortitude engine drones, you'll be able to have the same performance as the entire LAPD helicopter fleet for a fraction of the cost. Having said that, the reason it's 6 days flying, 1 day in maintenance is because this is a new technology and there's a hell of a lot of power going through it. So we don't want to start with hey, it will fly 1 month. We want to start with 6 days, bring it down for maintenance, check it, and then get it back up flying. So that's the rotation that we're looking at.
Right. So you mentioned 5 different powertrains, the Fortitude engine being one of them. I don't know if on your cheat sheet, really quick, you can just recap those 5 propulsion methods.
Yeah.
And then we can talk about Fortitude.
Yeah. So we will have battery, so conventional battery, EDF, electric ducted fan. We'll have a jet powered one, mainly for speed. We'll have battery EDF, then supplemented with solar panels across the top of the wing. We will then have laser power converters on the bottom of the wing. So when you place laser power converters on the bottom of the wing, you're basically sort of mirroring what the solar panels do.
Yeah.
So the solar panels charge from the sun. But when you put the laser power converters on the bottom side of the wing and you shine or illuminate either spotlight, which also has its own benefits, or a laser, you're kind of replacing the sun and solar panels. So you're actively charging it. So it does give some interesting capabilities. Like, you can charge from the sun during the day and you can charge from the LPCs at night, let's say. So that's kind of, and we're,
what does LPC stand for? Sorry.
Laser power converter.
Okay, got it.
They're basically solar panels which have been manufactured in such a way that the panel can sustain higher temperatures and it can convert higher power density. So let's say the power density of a solar panel is between 300 to 500 watts per square meter. An LPC can do like 1,000, 2,000, 4,000 watts and more per square meter. So it's just redesigned panels.
Right. And would the laser transmitting also be able to swap to the under the wing where it has arguably a higher surface area, and maybe the laser shape, I forget the term used, but it would have to be shaped differently to optimize to that?
So yeah, I mean, exactly. So that's one of the fundamental challenges that the Fortitude engine that the Fortitude engine addresses.
Okay.
However, the Fortitude engine is substantially more expensive. So for customers that maybe don't want that super high-end solution, they just want, say, a drone that is charging from the sun during the day, and then at night we just boost it a little bit, like maintain charge, using a more simplified method. Then they can choose like naked LPCs on the bottom of the wing. But for customers that money is no object and you just want the most high performance product, then you go to the Fortitude engine.
Right. And those LPCs convert energy. And what's the propulsion method? Is it just
electric ducted fan? Yeah,
electric ducted fan. And electric ducted fan is what we would see on a DJI drone, which is those little solenoid motors. Is that?
Yeah, no. So electric ducted fan is let's say, so on most DJIs, I don't think I've seen an EDF DJI. So many acronyms. They are usually powered by a propeller. But if you have, let's say, a propeller that is then encased in a shroud, that is an electric ducted fan. So, and it performs differently. So propeller is fundamentally performing differently to an EDF. The shroud itself allows for some pros and cons. You lose some efficiency in some ways, and you gain others. So it's just the EDF allows us to maintain the same fuselage construction, so that we're able to have this modular system. If you ask me what is the most efficient propulsion method, it is a two-bladed, slow rotation propeller. So, like, you can imagine like a helicopter with its giant, slow-moving rotor is going to be a lot more efficient than a bunch of small electric ducted fans because of the loading on the blades. It gets a bit complicated, but basically,
Yeah.
EDF allows us to maintain the same fuselage construction, which allows us then to offer a modular solution. So it's just a design choice. It's a design compromise, if you will.
People think helicopter blades are like fan blades, but they're actually like mini wings. They still have
They are wings, yeah.
camber of the wing, and they have the shape of the wing. They just move rather than being fixed on an aircraft moving through the air. They just rotate through the air.
Right. Exactly. So, and because they're moving a lot slower, they're a lot bigger. They're working fundamentally differently. It allows them to be more efficient than an EDF, which is basically just pushing.
Yeah. So on this image here, obviously at the front here, we would have any sensor package that the client would want. There's this big black dot.
No. Exactly. So in the nose cone there, if you look at it carefully, the nose cone is a different color.
Okay.
And inside the nose cone, we'll be able to mount whatever sensors we'll have in our portfolio.
Okay. And this black dot, is that symbolize something here?
The black dot just behind the nose cone?
Yeah.
That's actually the EDF intake. So that's the intake.
Okay. So that's what the laser's shooting at, right?
No, the laser's going to shoot at the just on the rear side of the fuselage. There's a dome shape, like a dome underneath there. And that is going to accept the laser, and it will funnel it into the reflected into the Fortitude engine.
Okay, got it. Okay,
so
let's talk.
That's actually an alignment positive system, but also it greatly reduces the chance of an accidental high power laser reflection, which is not ideal.
So that is if it were to hit like something reflective and then hit its own tail. Is that a challenge?
Well, that's part of our solution that we're patenting and why it works. It's yeah. I mean, if we start missing with a 2 kilowatt laser, then that's going to be a problem. But we don't miss. So that's part of the solution.
This drone system, I believe Patrick mentioned, costs $200,000. What is the price range for the different solutions that you talked about?
Yeah, and this is actually the interesting part of it.
And available for order today, is that correct?
It's available to reserve today.
Okay, for reserve.
And we'll be able to start shipping it sometime this year. Hopefully March, April time, we'll be able to start shipping the first versions.
Wild. Okay.
Manufacturing dependent, of course.
Yeah.
You know the way you know the way hardware works, where like you manufacture something and then you find like a tiny defect and you just can't accept it. Or
Look,
at least I can't. I have some
Tesla
OCD.
Roadster was sold 7 years ago, and none of them have been delivered yet. So
Right. So we want to absolutely avoid that, and we're not doing that. Right. That's why we're asking for reservations, not asking for your money. That's different. So the cost differences. Basically, it's going to range. I have to refer to my cheat sheet. It's going to range between 50 to 200, 250. That's the
Thousand.
spread. Yeah. So 50,000 to 250,000. That's the spread, depending on what fuselage, what powertrain, what sensors, what wing configuration, tail configuration you need. So that's the range. So why is that an important factor? Because let's say I've actually done a few calculations here for again the LAPD case study, which is how many battery powered EDF drones do you need, which would be able to replace with plenty of redundancy the helicopter fleet in almost all use cases. That's going to be about 30. So again, that's going to cost 1.5 million basically. So that's one of the great features of having a platform, so people can choose what they need. Perhaps a customer might say, I want 12 glider drones with battery powered. I want to have 2 X-Wing Fortitude engine drones, and I want to have, I don't know, like 5 X-Wing jet powered drones just for like high speed pursuits or something. And that balance allows us to accommodate any user need that they might require.
Patrick, you were infamous yesterday, Roman, by putting in the comments and having information, but it will not only be reserved, it will be pre-order. So there we go. Yes, Patrick, we want the credit cards on the website. You know what I'm saying? So, oh man, the product guy will figure out how to deliver it. I got it. I got it.
That is my job, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. I mean, there's so many elements here. I want to make sure I want to talk about the Fortitude engine in great depth. Is there anything else on the drone at this level? You are manufacturing this drone. Let's maybe talk about the manufacturing process here. Is this thing right here? Have we physically got it? Like, can I go somewhere and touch this right here? Or is it still a CAD design or concept design?
So this is literally in manufacture right now. Not going to say who right now is manufacturing or where, but it's in the works. So you will be able to touch it shortly, as long as the quality control passes on this manufacturing run.
All right, so maybe you get this unit here, the first unit out of the run. I mean, presumably you've done some pre-testing of this, like wind tunnel. I don't know what goes into building something like this, but has some sort of like,
yeah, I mean, obviously,
let's say, testing gone into it?
Yeah, obviously, there's lots of high quality simulation softwares and development programs that are out there, and you can basically get it to 99% reliable. You still need to build it and then fly the thing, and that's coming a little bit later on. But there is no there's no worry for me at all on the quality of the product.
So we get this product in February, March. What's the time that
right now we're working with like mid-February.
Okay.
But again, I want to stress that manufacturing something can cause QC quality control challenges that we need to make sure are addressed. So if something comes to me and I'm not happy with it, then I will reject it and we will do another run. You know, with manufacturing, you never know everything. And there are obviously real world challenges to it.
Of course. Demonstration. So let's say everything goes great. You get a great QC. You're happy with the product. You go out in your backyard with your FPV goggles on or something. You say, all right, let's try and fly this. First question is, are you flying it like that, like an FPV drone, or is it completely AI flying? Like, are you controlling the control surfaces is what I'm asking, or is AI doing it?
Didn't you say you're getting a pilot's license?
Well, in a past life, I have, yes, I was.
This could be interesting. You could be the designated pilot. No, look, there has to be two modes, which is one mode is fully autonomous.
Yeah.
That is an absolute necessity. That is a necessity for the function of the power transfer. Because you cannot manually fly this thing and control its alignment to the laser with that precision.
Okay.
So there is going to be like majority of the time autonomous, but of course there will be a function to man takeover, let's say, of the system. Yeah.
Is there a data transmission potential between the ground unit and the drone through the laser, or is it just purely power?
You know, you always ask the right questions. Yeah, there is, and actually that's a very interesting part of it, because it's quite difficult to interfere with communication when it's a light-based communication system.
All right. What could data transmission be used for in this use case, do you think, beyond just video feed?
Well, no, I mean, like the control of, we're starting to get very close to one of the patents that we plan to do. So I have to be a little bit careful, but the data transmission can absolutely be part of how you control the drone. It could also transmit sensor information, like sensor data from the thermal camera or whatever else you have mounted on there. But there will be also a like an RF based communicator as well. So you have to have both. Data transmission is, of course, absolutely fundamental to the performance of any drone. Ultimately, it's all about getting something in the sky that's going to give you data back, visual or otherwise. So we need to make sure that it's fundamental to the success of the product.
One of the challenges with RF is it can be interfered or blocked or jammed. That's why we've seen the rise of like fiber optic as a transmission method. Is there any, like with the laser, is it also jammable in that same way, or is the
laser is much harder to jam? It is possible to jam a laser. However, it's way harder, especially due to the design of the Fortitude engine. It will be very, very challenging to compromise that data link.
Right. And I think I don't know if you mentioned this or I saw this, but one of the team members at Impulsor was shooting lasers at like lightning bolts and like hitting them or something. Is that real, or am I imagining this?
No. That's real. No, that's not us. That's not us. We were was that in the holders chat? I think I might have been in the holders chat.
Maybe. I don't know.
I don't know where okay, so this is a very interesting topic. Like basically, there is a lot of research in Switzerland and a deployment in Switzerland. Some of the colleagues of our doctors and professors that are doing right now a laser lightning rod, basically. So if there's some critical infrastructure that you need to protect, and you see like a cloud that might, produce some lightning strikes, you basically fire an extremely high power laser, which functions by pulses, so like femtosecond pulses. I think it's like 7-8 femtoseconds pulses, and that allows it to basically have massive power surge, and that ionizes all of the air and creates a conductor. So the lightning basically strikes the laser, the plasma that was generated by the laser, and it goes away from the critical infrastructure. Yeah. So there's some crazy stuff being developed. Yeah.
Man, Switzerland's on a whole nother level, eh? That's crazy. Wow.
They do some crazy stuff here. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Drone wise, we're good. Can we talk Fortitude?
Yeah, let's talk. I'll try to address whatever questions there are. Of course, that's our like most prized possession, so we'll have to be a little bit careful.
All right, prized possession. I'll let you speak on what you want to speak on. We have it here. It's basically got a. Oh, by the way, this is the MCG Chinese clip. I'm speaking Chinese, but it has this we call a modesty curtain here. Like, just give us an idea of like how this engine works, all the things going on here. Yeah, what do you? Yeah.
So I can't go into too far into how it works. I'm just going to talk about what it does.
Okay, great.
So it allows a new. It's a new form of engine. It's a new form of engine that allows laser power transfer to work safer, to align better. So, there's some critical alignment challenges with laser power transmission. And it also allows us to improve the efficiency substantially. It allows us also to be very compact, much more compact than basically hanging a solar panel, a souped up solar panel off the bottom of a drone, which has obviously aerodynamic challenges. So this system allows us to be more compact, more powerful, more usable. It scales phenomenally well. It has a lot of advantages for alignment, and it's a lot safer.
Chemical combustion, how does it work?
There is no chemical combustion.
Give us how does this thing work, Roman?
I think the patent attorney would kill me if I go much further. However, all of the entire power input comes from the laser.
Yeah. So power input from the laser.
Yeah. Creates electricity and thrust at the same time.
Creates electricity and thrust. Got it. And
at the same time, yeah.
It's like the rocket equation is object, air going out one way, thrust going the other way. Can we?
That's
something like that.
Something like there's something very, very similar to that. Okay. With some electrical assistance.
Some electrical assistance.
When can we talk? And actually, one of the biggest challenges for laser power transmission is thermal management. So there are some US government experiments which basically were able to transmit laser power. I think it was at 8 kilometers or something, 800 watts at 8 kilometers. But they were only able to pulse that laser for 30 seconds at a time. until if you go to like 40 seconds, 60 seconds, it's just going to melt everything. Our design doesn't do that. It actually runs fairly cold.
And so the efficiency is how the material can take the heat that's sent to it and then direct it to thrust, ideally, versus the heat that is generated. You want to minimize the heat, but maximize the thrust is basically the equation you're playing with.
Yeah, exactly. So let's assume, I mean, the top end efficiency of any known cell, laser power converter cell, is developed by, I think, the Fraunhofer Institute in Germany, and they have demonstrated, proven 65% conversion efficiency. So they would beam, I don't know, well, I forgot what it was, but let's say they beam 100 watts and they were able to get 65 watts out, which is massive, absolutely massive. Because solar panels right now, they're working on like 20%, 19, 15, 20. Some are working approaching 30%. So those guys were able to get 65% efficiency, which is absolutely huge. Now ours doesn't reach, our laser power converters are not going to reach 65% efficiency, but due to the design, we're able to maintain continuous power, and we're able to claw back a lot of that thermal inefficiency. So in the end, it works. That's part of the lateral thinking that we are using to make our products. Because if we did effectively what everyone else is doing, which is hang a solar panel, let's say, off the bottom of a drone, and as the drone is flying, this thing is like moving and turning and interfering with its function and operation, aerodynamics, as well as overheating after 30 seconds, then it's pointless, right?
Yeah.
Whereas ours addresses all those problems.
Okay, awesome. You mentioned, and I just want to make sure I recap this. There was a problem that the Fortitude engine solved specifically. Can you just jog my memory on what that was?
Yeah, I mean, there's several problems, which is obviously compactness. So if you hang a massive solar panel that is twisting and moving,
yeah,
to maintain alignment, perpendicular alignment to the transmitter, that's obviously going to be a big problem for your drone. Like weight distribution wise, well, you know this as the pilot, right?
Yeah.
Center of gravity moving around, this thing's like,
yeah,
you know, and the solar panel is going to be, well, this panel is going to be massive compared to the drone. So we're solving that issue because it's way more compact. We're solving the issue about continuous power transmission, i.e. the thermal management. So we're not overheating after 30 seconds, which is pretty important for continuous power transmission. And we're clawing back a lot of those thermal inefficiencies as well. And on top of that, if you have a massive panel, you can get reflections, which you don't want. Our system that does not produce the same magnitude of reflections, so it's a lot safer as well.
Yeah, and we all know that like the color white reflects light and the color black absorbs it. So you would have to have some sort of super absorbent kind of dark material to do that, I'm assuming.
We actually don't even need that.
Oh, yeah?
That's part of the design. We don't even need that.
Okay, cool. I don't know what else would you like to discuss on this? I appreciate the patent angle here. You know, you don't want to get too crazy until those but maybe give me an idea of like when we can talk about it, and then what else would you like to share on it?
I really don't know when we can talk about it. Communication strategy, patent strategy, that's not my cup of tea, I would say.
Okay.
So when I'll be cleared is when I'll be cleared to talk about it. Regarding what else we can cover, I mean, really, we want to stress that the S-Drone is going to be, I think at least is going to be our main product, like the flagship product. It's a modular system. It adapts to whatever the client requests are. You can change basically anything about it. And as Patrick said, right, I think I saw Patrick said we'll be taking orders.
Yep, paid in crypto.
There you go.
I love it. Any chat? All right, I'll give a opportunity for the audience. Ping me if you have questions, either in the SOAR Captain's Lounge, the Impulsor Holders chat, this chat. Like, you have to at me. Really ping me if you guys have any questions. For those that are watching, we'll give that opportunity before we wrap up here. I really want to see this in operation. So maybe I'll ask a bit about your manufacturing on this. So like the drone you said is in manufacturing.
The manufacturing
today.
right now is quite secretive.
Is this being built? Like, you have a version of it here. Can I hold a version of it somewhere in the world?
Of what? The drone or the Fortitude or
the
both?
Fortitude engine.
Yeah, well, okay. So part of the design of a Fortitude engine, actually, one of the fundamental parts of it is that we can manufacture with additive manufacturing. So a lot of it can be milled and a lot of it can be 3D printed as well. There's a lot of complex structures in there. So 3D printing in titanium, Inconel, aluminium. Yeah, so that's part of it, and it's on the way. We actually wanted to bring out the aluminium version, but the quality wasn't. I don't like the quality, so we did what is it, the print that we have there in SLS, selective laser sinter. But we do have an aluminium and titanium one on the way as well.
The titanium highest heat, aluminium is a weight thing. What's the difference between the versions, different metallurgic compositions?
Really, it's they have different. When you're building something really massive, they have different strengths and weaknesses. However, when it's something that runs pretty cold and is fairly small, the majority of it is aluminium, and there's some choice parts which might have slightly higher wear, where we want to just bulk up on the material itself. So that's maybe a more titanium sort of choice. But really, we can do the whole thing in aluminium. It's just that I think for some high wear components, we just want to beef up the amount of material, so that will be made in titanium.
I think one question I had is like, okay, if this is a high heat thing, how is it attached to the drone itself? Like, is it secured with brackets that are heat resistant? Like, does it slide into some sort of case? Like, how does it actually fit inside the drone?
Yeah, so there's going to be extruded aluminium encasing that it will slot into. And then it's supported by carbon fiber as well. So by the time you get to the extruded aluminium encasing, the temperature is well under control. So it's it could even go into plastic, but better safe than sorry to put into an aluminium sort of casing.
Got it. Okay. Oh man, I don't see any other questions. No one's tagged me in anything. I'm trying to make sure that I do not miss a single thing here, Roman. So if you have anything you would like to expand on, please let me know. I'm going to take a quick look through X just to make sure I got it all, but otherwise.
Well, I think, yeah, I mean, basically to sum up, I mean, the S-Drone, it's a platform. You have interchangeable components for whatever a prospective customer would want. We are very accommodating. We'll make the solution they need. That's part of why it's a platform. There'll be different powertrains in there, everything from conventional to the Fortitude and everything in between. The solar panel assisted version is a proven and known technology. So and so is the jet and the battery EDF. So we're really banking on a mix of absolutely cutting edge CPT technologies, as well as more of like more proven, widely accepted conventional methods as well.
Got it. Growth in consumer robotics. Anything here that you're able to share?
Growth in consumer robotics. That is a very interesting space, and we have been looking at it with great interest. I talked to a CTO at a robotics company not too long ago. And he mentioned to me that one of the biggest challenges for his robots is the more work they do, the quicker the battery runs out, and the time it takes to walk back to the recharge station, or for some cases drive back to recharge station. Sometimes that travel from recharge station to workstation is longer than the amount of time that they spend actually working. And the heavier the boxes they lift, or the heavier the more power consumption they use on actually doing their tasks, reduces the amount of time they work. So we'll be able to we are already able to transmit enough energy using magres to power those those robots at their work site, at their workstation. So that's going to substantially give them quite a large productivity boost.
Awesome. I think Spicer was wanting to see when we could attend a demo in real life. I echo some of this thought here is, like if there's a video of it in real life, that's like where it just goes from 3D models to like, oh, like, okay, like this is crazy. We think February for that as well.
I think if it's delivered with the quality that I expect, then I think sometime in February as well. So it really depends on now the manufacturer to see whether everything can be produced at the quality that I kind of demand.
Patrick, I'm just telling your story, so this is to your benefit, just so you know.
What is this? He talks
Josh
too
will not
much.
be invited that he talks too much. Yes. But you know what? I'm leaving no leaf unturned. I will say this is a very, very interesting. The reason I ask so many questions is because I want people to see how deep this goes. Because look, we see people make crazy promises on the internet every day. And so I'm trying to break through what's like an over promise under deliver situation versus what is like the real engineering. And that's why we do these streams with Roman, because I want to hear the real engineering.
I think those like in-person demos are a strategic priority for us. We want to do them. We need to make sure that it aligns with our communication strategy.
Yes.
We don't like. I could right now pull up some stuff. I'm not going to do that because it's about like strategy. But like, let's say for smart sensors, IoT devices, consumer goods, all of that is basically here. I mean, lying around. So we could at some point start showing people that, but it's about timing of things.
I want the Chinese live streamer where she just brings it in front, product, throws it to the side, brings it in front, throws it to the
Oh
side.
yeah, I saw that.
Yeah,
We
like,
can't do
come
that
on-
because
come
then
on, Roman.
you don't get the full.
I want to see the CPT product rollout.
You know,
in everything.
startups are a journey. Journeys are storytelling, and you can't skip chapters.
Yeah, no, of course, I understand. We are a real company in Web2, and we will produce real products and solutions so we can defend and show our concepts and ideas and eventually the products. I mean, that's the process we are absolutely in. Is it possible the tech will be regulated eventually? It's a good question.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the products are already fully compliant. I need to check on the stages of certification for them. But absolutely.
Yeah, I think probably in the same way that you have bandwidth regulation in terms of what.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
frequencies
So yeah, so like 915 megahertz is the permitted frequency in the US, 868 in Europe, and there's a patchwork of others around the world. As for RF, magres is basically there's a very strange, inefficient calculation on the amount of human mass to the amount of power being transmitted. It's strange. But there is that regulation. Regarding the optical transmission, that is that's like at the highest danger level because it's so powerful. But again, like, this is a technology that's going to save people's lives, whether it's search and rescue, whether it's early detection of forest fires, or just helping police, or even someone even told me about, there's quite a lot of heart attacks on golf courses, and you can't get the defibrillator out there very quickly. So even on a golf course, at some point you might see a CPT powered drone just like loitering. Someone has a heart attack, it goes down there with a defibrillator, defib, and saves a person's life. That's part of a solution, and I think having a high power laser is just part of it, and part of a solution that's gonna help people.
Icarus drone. Here's the Icarus stratospheric bird conquering the stratosphere. So there's actually this is
let's talk about that.
I'm gonna share this. I'm gonna share this just so people know what we're talking about. This is actually quite a famous. I've seen this before on the internet.
Yeah. So actually, this sort of solution whereby you have effectively a glider. You have solar panels on the top of the wing, and you're able to, if you have a very efficient glider, and you fly high enough and you're stable and all of that, you're able to actually sustain flight indefinitely, theoretically. Now, this is a technology that's been around for a long time. Actually, I think there was also a project in Switzerland where they demonstrated a manned glider that was able to sustain flight. I don't know for how long. I think it was like 2 weeks or something crazy like that. And what they're trying to do here is, I think they fly the drone and they are trying to replace Starlink with their drones, basically. So when you're flying in the atmosphere, you're close to the ground, you're able to have faster internet and whatnot. So it's an interesting solution. It's a proven technology, and there's quite a few companies that are doing it. I think you're going to see a lot more solar-powered gliders in the near future. The question becomes for us is,
Roman.
And because it's active transmission, we're able to not rely on passive functions, and we're able to transmit more energy as well. Because solar power is, let's say, capped at, I think it's like 500 watts per square meter or something similar. Whereas laser power transmission is a lot more power dense. So you're able to have larger systems, faster systems, and that gives you a lot of advantages. So this is a great solution. Icarus is a great solution. But I think what we are doing is a more active transmission of power, which gives us several advantages.
Here they talk about essentially trying to give Starlink type communications capability, and obviously that's a massive narrative, but also probably a high utility use case for something like this beyond observation or just having
and actually no, and this is a very workable, proven technology. There's quite a few companies doing this, and we're not shying away from that either. You know, as we mentioned earlier, we will have solar panels on as one of the powertrains, but we're also going to be beaming actively energy to it. In a way, you can think about it as we're replacing the sun and we're moving the solar panels underneath. That's kind of a crude way of thinking about it, perhaps.
Do you see yourselves as kind of like competing with a group like this?
No, there's actually, it's not competing, because they are doing, let's say, like they're competing with Starlink. That's what they're competing. We are going to be transmitting energy to drones which are much lower down in the atmosphere. So like police helicopters. Actually, so our competition, let's say, is police helicopter suppliers. Their competition is Starlink. So there's probably like several kilometers difference there. That's not to say we may never start competing with them, or that's not to say they might never compete with us. But I think it's adjacent technologies rather than pure competition.
There's an interesting quote here around the FAA rules and, you know, allowing for these persistent high altitude ISR. I don't even know what ISR even stands for, but persistent high altitude, let's say autonomous things like, I guess, is there no FAA regulation because like no drone can possibly be up more than 30 minutes? I don't know. Like, I guess there'll be certain.
No, I mean, regulatory, I mean, regulation is a challenge, and that's why our team is uniquely positioned, because we know the big boy game. Well, especially Patrick does, right? So when you get into regulatory questions and frameworks, that's why our team is quite well positioned, to say the least.
Not sure if you understand this question here. Also, please clarify the distance.
Let me see here. Also, please clarify distance.
It is not.
I'm not following exactly, Patrick.
Patrick, if you can clarify that that question, maybe we can discuss it.
I think what he's talking about is scattering. Okay. What? I'm not sure what.
I think what he's saying is we're not pulling the energy from the atmosphere. It is being sent from A to B. It's more transmission rather than deriving its energy.
We're not generating. We're not generating energy. We are transmitting it from point A to point B using a laser. That is how it works for the optical power transfer. For magnetic resonance, it works by a three-dimensional magnetic field and resonant receivers, which operate within that magnetic field to pull energy. I think maybe maybe there was a bit of confusion. Initially, when I started talking, I said it's as close to as magic, because the user would feel like the energy is coming out of the air. So, like, for example, when we're going to be deploying our consumer goods products, you'll walk into a room and your stuff will immediately start charging. That's the perception. That's the perception that's going to be generated with a lot of users. In the same way, you no longer plug in your phone, or I guess we never did that. You don't plug in your phone with a cable to get access to the internet. You use Wi-Fi, and it just happens when you walk into a room. So in the same way, you're going to feel when our consumer goods products start to come on the market, that you're just going to walk into a room and your devices will just start charging. So that's what it will feel like. The actual physics behind it is there's a 3-dimensional magnetic field that's charging your device.
Which we have a demonstration on of the first MCG call that we did.
Oh, yeah.
That we actually demonstrated.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that can already charge all consumer goods already. So that's in the process of being deployed.
Got it. Okay. Well, I think we got a good sense here of, man, all the opportunities. We talked a lot about the product engineering. I think this Icarus is a good one for people just to kind of go and see like who else is working on this kind of stuff. Kind of sets, benchmarking a little bit of, how you compare and contrast these different approaches. Start a conversation, right? I think when Impulsor first came out, it was just so awesome and Star Wars like that, it was almost hard to like understand if how real that is. Like, how real is that future? These conversations have been good to kind of really break those down. So
no, absolutely. No, it's difficult to envisage, especially when most of a transmission is invisible.
yeah, I mean, you can't see it, right? Yeah. How far is the range of the laser? Like, is there some sort of drop off that it gets from
Yeah, no,
particle
absolutely.
interference
That's actually
in the atmosphere?
Yeah, actually, that is one of the key defining factors between the military, the solely military manufacturers right now, whereby they're just using infrared light, infrared wavelengths. And so their beam can travel extreme distances. It's invisible, traveling extreme distances. If you miss your receiver, they'll just carry on for basically forever, hitting a satellite, a plane, whatever else. The wavelength selection, which I can't reveal now, but the wavelength selection that we've chosen is allows us to operate with very high precision, very high safety. It is visible, and it allows us to transmit at the ranges that we are targeting, which is 1 kilometer to 5 kilometers, 10 kilometers. We can go further. I'm not going to say exactly how we can reach ridiculous transmission efficiencies. That's going to be a development for 2028, 2029. But our wavelength selection does give us a lot of advantages versus military only companies.
And is that part of the spectrum that you guys use as part of open spectrum, or is that like a licensed part of the spectrum that you have to get like some sort of license for?
Anyone working in high power laser transmission is going to have to go through some serious regulation. It's not going to be easy, but that's why, again, we are uniquely positioned, because we have experience, top level experience in that sort of game. And that's why, that's why the team is important.
Awesome. Well, I think that's all I have. I mean, I've left no stone unturned to my knowledge. And chat, if I've missed anything, you always know where to find me to make sure I don't miss it in the future. So please let me know. But Man, this is I've never seen anything like this. This is crazy. This is fun. This is exciting.
It is game changing, and I hope Patrick will allow me to invite you to the workshop that will show you some more stuff. But we'll ask Patrick for that.
This is the lab that you guys are talking about?
Yeah. So we're we need to complete the setup of it. I think we mentioned before. Right now, there's it's quite decentralized. Universities, researchers, people all over the place, and we are consolidating. But there's some work to be done there.
Got it. Okay, cool. Well, I'll leave it at that. Thank you so much, Roman, for joining. And as always, I thoroughly enjoy these chats. This was a long one, but a thorough one, deep dive. And yeah.
Perfect. I'm really grateful as well, and happy to be here anytime.
Awesome. All right. Thanks, Roman.
Thanks. Take care. Bye-bye, guys.
That's Roman from Impulsor, head of product, a lot of different applications. Guys, man, we chat about a lot today. Like, yeah, Spicer, thank you, Josh and Roman. Great interview. I do my best, guys. I definitely do my best. I love chatting about these more engineering and yes, you're welcome, Patrick, anytime. These engineering kind of science related topics, because I think they're so fascinating. My vision, I hope, is that Impulsor becomes a very large, conglomerate and player and just wows the world with some of this stuff. Because that would be a very, very special day. I'd wake up in the morning and see it on the news and be very happy with that. I think that's the ultimate goal here. It's also good to see, this Icarus thing, I think, is interesting because it gives us a little bit of a parallel of something that we can point to and be like, oh, well, people are working on this stratospheric type, stuff, strong narrative. Okay, we want to be a lower latency than a low Earth orbit or LEO satellite in terms of data transmission for internet. What could be that market size? That's pretty significant market size. So I'm assuming people will start to do research on this and then try and tie it back to the S drone that we've been discussing today. So, and that drone being this. And one last time, Jonas, I also see a super bright future. I think that's directionally correct. One last time, I'm going to play this because I think it's great. Reservations open today. Really cool soundtrack. Some key things just to recap. Up front here, you'll see there's a pod that allows for different sensor packages to be implemented. There are 5 powertrain types that power this drone. 1, the Fortitude engine. 2, some fan thing. I'm not even going to recap them. Go back and listen. They're there. And then there's some different configurations with under the wings. There's some, the way to get power, and then some solar as well. A bunch of different configurations here. They'll have the X-wing setup as well as the fixed wing like we see. And then I believe you said there will be a quadcopter component at some point. Yeah, Spicer, I know, laughing at me. Dude, a lot of stuff. So yeah, that's Impulsor. I'm gonna just really check in here on CPT. I mean, just generally, we had some hype here. A lot of this price action here was driven around the token burn, and I believe the unveiling of the S-drone was a little bit of this action, but just kind of chopping in this range here. I don't think there's any sort of FOMO. I think you got to have the mindset of this is a long-term venture bet. So put yourself in the seat of a venture investor. If they're right as a team, is what they're doing, is it worth in the billions? And again, if they scale to that in a few years or 5 years, let's say, that could be a really interesting opportunity. CPT feels like a little more of an Anduril type play in terms of if you had access to Palmer Luckey and the early Anduril, opportunity. We know defense and drones and things around energy, and the US is really investing in these areas. These are real industries. They're not just investing around software. They're investing in defense and real industries. So yeah, CPT, definitely a long-term bet. And we'll see how it goes. Some upcoming catalysts, said if quality control goes well, we may see demonstrations of this in the February, March, April timing. So that would be, I think, when people see it for real, it will really go viral in some senses. All right, I'm just going to look really quick through a few other names. So if you have tickers to look at, please let me know, and I will take a look. And then we're going to wrap this in 15 minutes here, but I'm going to go through a few. Let's check in on, so we talked about these ones. Radar, let's see how Radar is doing. The play, Radar looks really good, guys. It's come back into this range here. Really cracked team on the AOL conversation. They had a partnership that they were talking about with AOL. And let's pull up AOL. This is, I think, is this? Yeah. This was one of the more fascinating conversations that we've had recently in terms of a product that I think is super aligned. This is a coming launch pad. It was originally in the Bonk eco, and then the team behind it, they were doing partnerships for Bonk, and they went on to create America.fun, and it is migrated to Meteoris Tech. AOL V2, he said in a few days, and that was on Monday. So I believe Monday, was it Monday, Tuesday? Maybe we had that conversation. So we're definitely in the few days territory. And I don't know. I haven't seen the V2 announcement, but I will say what I like about this, and I don't have a position in this, nor does MCG yet, but we are eyeing it, is it's come back here nicely into an area which I think you definitely want to be, potentially buying this in and around the 6 to 7 mil versus the 10 mil. Really strong alignment with the broader Meteora eco, so we like that. But yeah, this might be something to start nibbling at here and keeping an eye on, because the catalysts, they said, were a few days away. So go check out the Oogle interview there. Just some quick charting, and I'm not the expert on charting by any stretch, but you can see a little bit of a range developing. I don't know if this will chop in here, but the closer you get down here, the more I think your risk reward sets up. And then if it breaks out, Oogle said he had put $1 to $2 million into this chart of his own capital. So that tells you how much conviction. They also mentioned an exclusive on MCG was a VE metric or mechanism that they were unveiling around revenue sharing. Let me see if I can pull up the MCG notes from this because I thought there was a lot of little. Oh yeah, the other thing I'll mention. This is a USD1 meta. World Liberty Financial obviously is in the news. USD1, AOL being the first USD1 launchpad. Oogle, an advisor and creator, has invested $1 million of his own money. All the things that I mentioned. They also had an advisor from AOL itself, which I thought was pretty funny. Let's see, the MCG notes. I think those were the notes. Oh yeah, Greg Consiglio. Greg, we'll give you a follow back. Let's see, building fiber shop. Yeah, I mean, looks like a big entrepreneur. Advisor, America.Fund, ex-Ticketmaster, Beatport. I don't know what Beatport is. Home electronic music, DJ fans, Vagel. Very interesting. And AOL itself. So there you go. Go look and follow Greg. I don't know what's going to happen here with AOL, but I think a lot of things I'm seeing, a lot of confluence on a few things. So we shall see. I think this looks good, in my opinion, and you got to do your own research. So that was one that we had on earlier. Let's go check in on Orgo. Orgo. Obviously, we had Spencer on the show somewhat before the break. I just want to make sure this is the real Orgo. Yes, this is the real Orgo. Interesting chart. Originally, we had called this down in this 2 million FDV range. So we're up 100 and something % on it. But then it ran to like, I don't know, 16 mil FDV, which was wild. So we caught that move. That was 4 or 5x from our call. So, we like that we had Orgo early. It's come down here a decent amount. I think the catalyst that people are trying to think. So if I zoom out, computer use, massive. There's two major themes here. Is one, the computer use itself. It's the actual agent using a computer. So it's not like tool-based AI where it's AIs in a specific, Microsoft product and you're using it. It's like, no, the agent sitting at the computer level and it uses whatever the human uses on the computer. So that's one major theme. There's technology that he's put in around it, like the machine-to-machine communication protocols. So you could have 1,000 computers running with their own agents, workers on it. So you're creating these like essentially synthetic knowledge worker type companies, and they could go on and maybe eventually do physical type stuff. And an example of that is like, the Orgo company CEO says, oh, let's go build a manufacturing plant or something over here. And then the agents go and say, well, we need to raise capital. So they go and start creating decks and doing cold outreach, and the sales agents go do something. Anyways, crazy ideas. If it works, I mean, the economy is 100 times bigger at that point. And it could compete with the market caps of mainstream companies that are human-based, which would be very fascinating. The other major catalyst or theme, so I think the technology that makes that happen is why I'm really excited. The second one is the how useful and capable that agents are becoming is extraordinary. So there's a SOTA score, state-of-the-art score, beginning of 2025. Agents scored 20. A human scores 70, I believe, is the score, 60 to 7, the average human knowledge worker. By the end of the year of 2025, the agents had gone from a score of 20 to a score of 60, which means they're almost as capable as a human knowledge worker. And the rate of improvement on that is quite a bit. So by the end of 2026, I mean, I would think that the average Orgo agent is better than the best human at, being a marketer or being a CEO or being a negotiator or being a finance person or being a coder, et cetera, et cetera. So that's where you kind of you're getting the leverage on the ability to spin up 10,000 computer use agents, but you're also getting the leverage on each individual of those 10,000 being extremely human capable, and that capability growing year over year, dramatically growing year over year. Those are the two major themes. Some of the unsolved kind of questions around the Orgo token specifically is this an ownership token, or is it enough that, you just have a token that is just, kind of a platform token, which we know is kind of not necessarily, super useful in this market meta. Those tokens are not being rewarded versus like an ownership token. Orgo wants to become ownership. They're waiting on the legal documents to mitigate risk. I think directionally, Spencer sees ownership being the right way. We can see that in his latest year-end document that he published or article. He likes it. He wants it to become that. The challenge is do you have a legal due diligence done and then can be compatible with future fundraising? And so those are the two main concerns. I think this is, look. I don't think this is I don't think this is edited. Look, Spencer right there. Boom. So Spencer wants it. I'm going to go with same thing with a CPT bet. You got to think like a VC here directionally. Let Spencer execute. Don't be on his DMs on X all the time. Let's see what he comes up with. And hey, the new regulations might come out and it doesn't need to be even an ownership token. It might just be decentralized and that's a version. And it's kind of like the Hester Pierce safe harbor proposal. So we'll see. What other tickers, guys? What tickers am I missing? Let me go over to, I don't think there's anything to update from MetaDAO, Eco. CLED has been the same price for 6 months. ICM is like super massively sold. I'm going to go in and shout out our friends over at Mobi here. This token has recently gotten some attention, and we're friendly with the Mobi team. I would say in some ways we do some, let's say, product advising with the Mobi token. Disclosure, they're sponsors of the show. We also own some. I think there's a lot coming here. I think Mobi has a lot of tricks up their sleeve. One thing I'll give the Mobi team is they've built a really good viral loop with Whale Watcher and some of the other, Asset Dash that we're streaming on today. Some of the other big X accounts that have wide following on X. So they have this distribution of information. They also have a great trading product. In previous streams, Mateus has mentioned that Mobi, the mobile app as a trading product, is a top 10 trading product on Solana. And if that's true, and they've built a great trading product around things like the whale watch data, around the active DCA tracker, then I think this has some legs at 5 million. And beyond just, here's a trading product with tens of thousands of users, doing, potentially millions in volume and potentially millions in revenue as well. And it's only at $5 million here. Something to watch. Look at that. Okay, this is just a 1K DCA, so nothing to see there. Something to keep on a watch list. I think you want to keep that one on a watch list. The other one that I have here that I thought was interesting. We've had Notorious on the show a number of times, but is Pay AI. We haven't discussed it in a while, but they recently had that migration from Pump Fund to Radium. And I don't know if X402 is going to be the next big e-commerce payment method. I can't tell you that or not. I do know that Coinbase is going to not, let's say, not bet on this and not let it happen. And maybe I'll show you the numbers. So the chart, again, look at where we have Pay AI on MCG. Every time we have Pay AI on MCG, boom, it did a quick 3 to 4x. But Pay AI kind of here is consolidated nicely, flagging out beautifully. Really great flagging happening here. Look at that. That's beautiful. Really nice pattern forming. Potentially on the hourly, some lower highs shaping up. And maybe I'll move this to a 4-hour. Some lower highs here showing up. You could even put in a range here, and here. I really like this. I think, you're buying down at this 10 to 12 mil range. As long as this holds as support, I think this has the potential to pop out of this range and catch on here. Some of the metrics that MCG had around Pay AI, and I'm just going to pull them up, that I thought were interesting, was just the growth in people using Pay AI as a or using X402. Here, I'm going to play this clip because I thought this clip was really freaking awesome.
That's so bull.
840,000% increase. Can I put out like a tweet on that? I'm going to put a tweet out on that.
That's so bullish.
That's
All
so
right.
bullish.
All right. That is so bullish, bro. I love it. Even if it is whatever, I think you got to get it in. Will you guys retweet this?
So X402 V2 came out end of last week, and we'll be adding support this week for any developers or merchants that are curious. Q1 next year, we're focused on improving our developer experience and comms so that it's like consistent and easier for devs to get set up. We want to focus on payment splitting, which is one of the most common feature requests. We've already partnered with a project called Cascade for payment splitting, but we just want to kind of get Pay AI branded payment splitting and start adding that to our website and docs. As I mentioned, we'll be turning on fees for the facilitator. There'll be discounts for using Pay AI. And then we're going to be supporting other payment schemes, like one is called Up2, which is very useful for AI agents and other cases where you don't know how much the request is going to cost ahead of time. So for example, when ChatGPT goes to think, sometimes it uses, I don't know, for example, 1,000 tokens, and sometimes it could use 5,000 tokens. And if you're charging per token, you don't know what the price is ahead of time. So this Up2 payment scheme will allow for you to like support that use case where it's not known how much it'll cost ahead of time, and super useful for AI agents, and has been requested a lot actually by many different merchants. We'll try to get an on-ramping partner to provide a full end-to-end experience. If an AI agent developer is just starting for the first time and they don't even have stable coins, that's already a lot for Q1. But if there is time, we also want to start adding server wallets. This concept of embedded wallets seems to be a growing and popular case where a server sets up a wallet for you. It's still non-custodial, but you can set up a wallet using a traditional API like developers are used to. And so you'll see, like, we're starting to see a big trend of wrapping and packaging Web3 in a way that just feels like Web2.
Yeah.
And I think that's huge for adoption.
So 860,000%. I think the exact numbers is it went from, and it's kind of doctored a little bit because when I calculated it, it was like $700 in October. November, he says 2.1 million. And then it was like to 6 million by December. I think it was, October, November, December. And a lot of that growth, I think he mentioned, was a bit gamed. There's like a bit of game theory around how the rankings work. I think people use that to kind of like pump their token and whatnot. But the major catalyst here, forget all that. The major point here is that Coinbase turned on fees for their facilitator. And that means everyone else can also turn on fees, which means it's a business model, right? It's something that you can charge a small little fee and, this now businesses and resources can be applied to it. Whereas if Coinbase just kept it for free, that meant like projects like PayAI could never make money. And you don't want to be working on things that just never generate any sort of money or return. So I like this a lot. Obviously, anytime MCG has Notorious on, this candles. If you want to hear a PayAI update for 2026, go at PayAI and Notorious and let them know that you want to see them on MCG again. By the way, guys, anytime you want to hear a project on MCG or hear from a founder, like please add us at my personal mint_Josh and we'll do that. All right. Viva looks really good. Okay. Let's go to Viva. Again, Viva sponsor the show. They were really instrumental in MCG getting going, and we are eternally grateful to Viva. So disclosure there, but we are in constant conversation with Viva. In fact, I spoke with Nathan this morning alongside Dom just to kind of kick off this year. I also think this chart is quite sold off. It's also been really well distributed, like 11,000 holders. A lot of those were early wallet onboardings. And if you remember from the end of last year, Nathan mentioned that January was a big month. And I think, this week of January, everyone's kind of waking up from the holidays and then they're going to start turning it on. And I mean by that is like they're going to start getting things going for the new year. And I think Viva has laid out all the pieces for this to be successful. The liquidity facility, the thoughtful integration to the app, the APY that you'll earn for staking Viva tokens, the different partnerships with things like AI tools, because funny enough, again, in Bolivia, you just can't access, like even for X Premium, like you can't even access a way to pay for that. So let alone ChatGPT, and they have a partnership with a major Mikai or AI player that's doing the sovereign AI for Brazil. So definitely a major player, and can take those open source models and allow, a Viva to offer ChatGPT like capability to Viva holders and people who use Viva to pay for it. There's just so many different other digital services that people pay for on the internet that Viva now, like Viva has the users. And then you have a successful, profitable ad network that's generating revenue. I wouldn't fade this. Again, keep this on a watch list. I think they don't need to become an ownership token. I think this is more of a currency play. This is more about, can you take a chunk of the GDP and economic activity happening within their cellular network, and can you bring it into a token like this? If that is successful, simply the onboarding, I think Viva could be much higher. And I think if Viva is extremely successful, like the best outcome, this is a top 50 token on CMC potentially. Just my opinion. Don't know if it gets there or not, but that's kind of how I think about Viva. Is you need to definitely, in my personal opinion, I want to hold some of this. So chart looks kind of oversold and bottomed. What are we down from the highs here? So the tick 11 million to today. I mean, this is down 74%. you want to buy charts that are down 75, 80% in this market. That's where you want to be investing in, versus stuff that's kind of at the highs. Another one that was a huge winner that we called, not only did we call it, Chill put out some information about it. This gentleman was on the show in December. Oh, Repo, this is not it. Where is Repo? Repo. Okay, why can't I find? Oh, I'm sorry. Repo is on yeah, don't look at this, guys. Repo is on base and Moby is not set up to show base. So I got to go to the old CMC here. Sorry, Moby, but we got to do it. Repo's looking really good here. You can see this just continues to march higher. We had December, mid-December. So we had, let me find the actual date here. Repo. GM Top Fumbler. It's more like afternoon for me. So we had Repo on December 18th. And that was, so where was December 18th? I mean, in this market, this was probably one of the biggest trades that was out there. So here's where December 18th, it would have been around right here, around noon, or, you know, in this area. Repo's done extremely well. So on MCG, on this blue line here, Chill called it amazingly right here of breaking this kind of descending wedge, if you will, down here, breaking this trend line. And actually, if you don't follow Chill TRD, you need to. But I'll go over to Chill's profile real quick, and I'll just show you guys. If I search Repo, I mean, this is like, this is right here. Look at Chill, man. Chill's giving you guys gems. When was this? This was on December 30th. My goodness, this is on New Year's Eve, guys. You know, Top Fumbler, thanks to people like yourself who watch our show, it has allowed me to get a new setup. So yes, we're definitely loving it. But look at Chill here. Repo just sitting beautiful like that. And then boom, the response. So absolutely broke out. It's actually looking pretty good here. I don't know if this kind of continues going on higher. I mean, it's already 14 million market cap, but the last I saw that he mentioned that someone had bought 70,000 tokens to get, you know, feedback on some sort of data set from some sort of AI company. Top pumping, so I'm bullish on Repo. I mean, I'm not, top pumping. I don't know what this does here. I'm not gonna lie, it's already moved quite a bit. Remember, MCG called it specifically Chill here while it was pre-breakout. So take it for what it is, but it does seem to be showing some specific strength. So again, another one I would keep in mind on, and we're going to try and get Tuna on, is the next virus game, Ponzi game, is coming out. And to be honest with you, this just kind of looks, you know, I don't promote Ponzi's or anything. That's just that's the Pandemic Labs words, not mine. But kind of in the top end of this range, and we'll see if this pokes up. But also bought Tuna had bought back a lot of the tokens here. So got to keep virus. I mean, I got to shout out my boy Avi Patel. We are due to have Avi on at some point for an update, but this continues to grind sideways. I already talked about AOL, SOAR. I'm just going to throw Yeah, Mixer. I mean, AIM. Like, I don't know what these guys are doing here. DFTV. Yeah, I mean, this is sold off. I guess if you believe in it, like if DFTV, the one thing I will say on DFTV, if they had come out and said, hey, like, we want to make sure we have a tweet lined up from the shareholders at DFTV. I mean, they have like Brock Pierce, and I think like Tim Draper is like a shareholder of the equity of DFTVs on the show. If any one of them came out and said, oh, we're really excited about this new like SOAR model, like here is a private company that we're shareholders in, it's now liquid, like go check it out, this would have been super successful. But they need to fully migrate to DRP 1.0. So that would be to burn the outstanding tokens. And then, yes, I think that they should get those shareholders to talk about it. Yeah, I mean, I traded this. Didn't really make any money, to be honest with you. And it just kind of bled since we focused on CPT from the SOAR eco personally. Machines on base, they need to come on MCG. Chill was not that interested in machines from our last chat, but let me see if I can pull it up. See what the chart's looking like. Yeah, I don't love this chart, Abe. I'm not gonna lie. Don't love this chart. I think he said there was some super big catalysts and it's still kind of grinding lower like this. I don't know. I don't want to count anyone out. I don't know anything about their project, but not a huge fan of the look of this. I mean, you break this supposed 1.2 million level and you're definitely kind of going lower. So yeah, I feel yeah. I mean, look, there's so many opportunities and upcoming catalysts that you just gotta be focused. I mean, this being one of them. Again, I've covered it earlier today, so I'm not gonna rehash it. But man, like, just throw your machines into something like a Meteora. What do I have here in the top bar? The other one I'll look at real quick is Infra. Man, this chart just grinded higher. Like, you got to think, guys, from October 21st, this launched on Believe from October 19th, which was basically when Believe imploded. And then you also had like pretty much a down only market from that point. This has gone up, and I don't know who supply controls this. I don't have a position, neither is MCG. We had Infra Boy on, and to be honest with you, we're a little unsure of what was actually being built here. We do know it is supply controlled to a certain extent, and I don't know what those holders will or will not do. So caveat that. But man, this price action, you can't ignore this. This is done quite well. Man, so many plays, guys, that I missed or miss. Man, I'll show you one I missed out on big time that I still kicking myself today. Not loyal per se. So we'll just see that buyback. I just wanted to check in. That buyback is still happening at 3 mil. Anything under 3 mil and tokens are being purchased. This one, you saw this on MCG first. No one had talked about Avicii before MCG. Ram had done no interviews before MCG. And this came out at 40 cents and ran to 7.5 mil. I believe Dom was in on this, but me personally, I was not. And I still regret it to this day. I think higher thoughts on neobanking is these are like front ends to bank accounts. And I don't want to oversimplify and chalk it up to be a nothing burger. I think neobanks are a like super compelling, approachable way to get people into a bank account, but have that crypto hybrid integration. But I do want to caveat that it was a narrative. It was definitely narrative focus. And I think it comes down to product being super clean, really great marketing, and great positioning. What that means for Avicii, the licenses that banks have are a moat and are valuable. Does Avicii have those licenses? And from my understanding is they don't, and that they use third-party banks as, they're using their kind of, let's say, legal and financial infrastructure to deliver a really great experience to the end customer. Don't think there's any problem with that. I just want to know, is that where the value is captured? Is the value captured at the Avicii level, or is it, not captured at the Avicii level, and that's more of a front end? Those are just some questions I have. I want to show a recent and just highlight Avicii had. Let's see what people are talking about. I think this is a good area. So with all that, I'm just caveat. Oh, here we go. Avicii and Metadao are an honest attempt of fixing issues with token design. Absolutely agree with that. Definitely worth paying attention and pursuing in these convos. I like it. When was this? We had Ram on. I really, really appreciated what Ram had done. I don't know if this is an old article. There was something that Avicii had posted around some of their metrics. And at the end of the day, guys, that is undeniable. Those metrics are what it all comes down to. Let's see. Oh my, okay. Don't know what that's about, but wild. Ansem reposting. Oh yeah, we called this on MCG. By the way, go down here, guys. Do yourselves a favor. And if you look in the replies to this article, if you go down here, MCG had the alpha. I asked a specific question around this, 1,800 views. So there you go. MCG had the alpha. Solo is really interesting. If Solo scales, Solo is a huge play. I actually really like Solo. DeFi FOMO, we actually talked about ALG already. Really looking good. I like ALG. He had posted some data, updated metrics, I want to say. We'll give Avicii a follow. I don't know if I saw where that was. Anyways, long story short with Avicii, metrics are up and to the right. From a charting perspective here, I don't have a position, but this is down 65% from the local top. Getting the Ansem retweet. I think if you missed the entry back at the ICO, you missed the ICO. I think here it looks like the metrics are up and to the right for Avicii. I think here is a really interesting entry area. Again, horizontal line. All right, you guys want me to do this? I think I'm going to do it. Avicii. Let's go look at. So MCG first talked about Avicii, and October 14th, guys. So here you go. MetaDAO project, October 14th, Avicii, 86% committed. So not even the full raise committed. Oh, talked about Orgo as well. But look at that. October 14th. So right at the beginning, as Avicii, I'll put a blue line to where we talked about it, right on this first candle. And yes, this was a huge winner. I think this is a nice area to start looking at. I think you look for some sort of change of the structure here to see if this is going higher. So What else, guys? Any other tickers? We already did ALG. Let's see. Man, I think that is it. Here's one. Again, I always talk about Galaxy Digital because this is my biggest non-crypto holding is Galaxy Digital, which is a crypto company, but outside in the kind of TradFi count. This is broken out of this kind of downward magnaphone or whatever you want to call it. It's sitting at the 200-day moving average here. I mean, it could kind of come down here and test a lower low, but I actually think with the crypto regulations, it makes their business so much more valuable. So if you have a stock portfolio, go search GLXY, Mike Novogratz, go look them up. Go look at their two businesses. One half is a crypto investment bank / crypto service. They run all the infrastructure for the DATs. They're huge Solana. They're one of the largest Solana validators. And then they're building one of the biggest data centers in the United States for AI compute. And it's very undervalued compared to its peers. I think to me, this is a $100 stock in my personal opinion. It's trading at $25 today. I think you got to have it. I recently bought Hyperliquid. I purchased Hyperliquid actually right here on this dip. So I'm up nicely on my Hyperliquid trade. I didn't tweet it because honestly, not even super keen on tweeting any of these yet because the market just has been punishing anyone who's tweeted anything. But I bought it literally 24, I think it was like 24.50 was my entry. A nice little 6 to 14% mover. I like hype here. I think you can start getting into some of these. I mean, all these charts are going to look identical. Ultimately, you need Bitcoin to hold here and go higher. I'm not even going to bother looking at S&P 500. I know some of you guys don't, just because it's not in your kind of daily workflow. But man, look at the market. Look at the market. So I had as a scenario was a W shape situation when this had gone up. Obviously, we didn't get that. But the other scenario from down here was it just kind of kept going up, and that's what ended up happening. I think I showed that in this one. So back in May of 25, I said, okay, well, this either W or it's going to be a complete V shape out of this. And it ended up being a V shape right on my line here. I've had that charted out since we started streaming. I don't know what TradFi does. I mean, personally think Trump and his policies will send the markets higher, but man, there's a lot of uncertainty in the world out there. Any other tickers, guys? What am I missing here? I think that might be it. We had Avo on the show yesterday. Let's see what Avo's doing. All right, Avo looking pretty decent here too. I think this is similar story to most of these ICM charts. You know, ICM run or whatever you name your ICM chart, it looks kind of like this. I think this is right here, risk reward. If you hold this from higher, I think you continue to hold it. I think this looks really good. Go watch the stream from yesterday. I wasn't on yesterday, so I didn't get it, but go watch the clips. I know they're doing some stuff around ETFs that could be interesting. All right, what's this? Gachapin? Oh my gosh, I don't even know what I'm going to type in here. Oh my gosh. No, I'm not talking about that. Yeah, I'm not talking about that. Yeah, Elmay, don't. Yeah. Look, guys, there's I put out a poll actually. I said, what's the minimum market cap that you want MCG to have on? And 1/3 of people I think just don't care. They're like, just any micro caps are good. But a good chunk of people said, let's have a 500K minimum. This is actually kind of saved MCG. We get a lot of inbound, a lot of people try and get on the show. And when I go look at their charts, I'm like, oh man, this thing's already pumped. Like, I'm not going to feature people for the sake of, they want to, kind of pump their coin. But at the same time, I kind of have a journalistic integrity of like, I want to feature stuff because, if it does turn out to be the real deal, like I don't want to be missing. I want to be the first people to talk about it. And so we settled on a 500K minimum, unless it's something like a SOAR or a MetaDAO or one of the other more reputable launchpad or a referral from Meteora specifically. If it's been a vetted team and project, I think we'll loosen those rules up. But generally speaking, yeah, 500K min. So nice one, Top Fumbler. You got me there, but I am not pulling that up. So yeah, I do like it. That was funny. We need new ICM trades though, guys. Like honestly, okay, Zoth then for mill ticker. Let's see. Yeah, I wouldn't be buying charts like this. New launches, charts already run. The probabilities is that this retraces a good chunk of the move, and I don't know anything about it. All right, I'm seeing new Pandemic Labs game dropped. Let's go check that out. First, I'm just going to quickly see the virus chart. Guys, I just talked about this like literally 30 minutes ago. Okay. All right, guys. Hasn't done anything yet on the chart. Little pop here at 12:30, but nothing crazy. Okay, so let's go see. Sorry, Moby guys. We'll use Moby next time. I got you. Send wallets. All right. All right, guys, go drop your wallet in here. Look at that. Go get your wallets in there. I might send my wallet in DMs to them because I really don't want to, if that's possible, because I don't want to dox my wallet. There you go. Jail.fun. Look, Tuna likes making Ponzi schemes. Oh. Any update from that bubble team? You know what's funny, Top Flumber? I actually thought about that guy recently, even this morning. I've not looked at it since. Let's go check it out. All right. Okay. So before I pull it on screen, I just want to make sure. The only reason I'm going to pull this on screen is because we had these guys on the show, and it actually did pretty decent here for a bit. I think it was back. No, it wasn't December 20th. It would have been. I want to say it was around 140K that we had them on, but man, I can't remember. It definitely was not on the first bit of this run. I don't know. The thing is, you tell me, like, is there anything? If there's nothing happening, I wouldn't. I mean, you're kind of waiting for some sort of catalyst. I don't know. The guy seemed like a decent dude. Let's see. So after Q1 developments, you can now send crypto the same way you send a text message. I mean, his demo was good. I did like the demo. I just don't know how like useful this is. Oh wow, this is kind of cool. Message allow this? Is iMessage allowing you to have widgets in there like that? Or is this just a demo? How real is that? Okay. I mean, what do you mean nothing happening? I would say there's quite a bit of activity. They are talking about this every few days. Yeah, look, like I talked to them, they had a product that worked, but they didn't really have much volume, and he was pretty forthcoming on that. He also mentioned that they were looking to raise venture funding. I don't know, Top Fumbler. This is like one of those moon or dust situations. If you still like it, great. If not, have you used it? Maybe we'll start there. Top Fumbler, have you used this product? And if you have, did it work well? If you've used it, it worked well, and you can get other people to use it, I would say that's a decent hold. But if you've not used it, it doesn't work well or it doesn't solve a problem. I mean, I think it's one of those where you just kind of move on. But look, don't want to FUD them. The guy seemed like a decent dude. This chart is bottom out, but man, look, this is every pump fund chart. Looks exactly like this. Pump, and then it dumps off and then trails down to the abyss. The one thing I'll say that they have going for them is that they're pretty active on the timeline. Stuff seems to be shipping. What else do we got? I think that's it. I'm gonna probably, we're at 3:15. To recap today, guys, is big one was, and I'll show this because someone called out ALG and I have the tab open. Where is it? Oh my gosh. My icons all look the exact same. Oh, Bybit copy trading. Go put ALG on a watch list. This is insane. Algon Vault right here. 25 followers. I don't know what the average follower is on Bybit. 420,000 in AUM. Look at these metrics. This is insane stuff. Go make sure you have Algon on a watch list. Look at that performance. Just really, really good performance. I'll pull up one more time just for the people. I think this is gotta be a fairly high up on watch list. Look, Top Fumbler, here you go. In my opinion, if I was sitting on a bag of bubble and I was thinking, oh, like, I don't know if this product's going to take off or not, if people are going to even use it. Go look at something that's a similar market cap. In my opinion, Algon here is a similar market cap. It's, twice, maybe 3 times the market cap, but I think they have a much more compelling product with a much higher chance of success than trying to bootstrap a peer-to-peer payments network when there's literally so many people working on payments, but there's really only one Algon. So that would be my kind of my thoughts there. We are going to have ZDLT on hopefully next week. Let's check on ZDLT. I know the Wiseman crew is really big on this one. Who we are friends of the Wiseman. I mean, even this looks interesting. They seem like they're ready to go with whatever they're building. According to the dev who wants on MCG, this looks like it's really nicely consolidated. 1.4 million market cap. I think you gotta definitely have this on a watch list, because if whatever they're building, and it's some sort of, I believe, funding rate arb strategy. I don't know their AUM. Let's see if we can grab something from their X here. Okay. The web app is live as of December 16th. So let's look at something. So December 16th, the web app went live. That would be right about here. So it did sell off after the web app went live, which is kind of interesting. Don't like that price action per se, but it's actually kind of rebounded quite nicely. So it might have been a sell the news event and then has kind of made up some ground, which is good. So yeah, ZDLT, I like it. Let's see is there anything around metrics around? Okay, NFT drop. I don't care about NFT drop. Okay, all right, some MEXC. I mean, you can argue if this is a, all right, maybe some MEXC partnership. I haven't listened to this conversation with the Wiseman, but I do like their videos. Most people get liquidated trading perp. Zero Delta is building something different, an app that lets you farm funding rates without directional risks, fully hedged, delta neutral. Essentially what this is kind of what Solo in the first version was doing, whereas they were taking short positions because for most of crypto's history, it's always in positive funding, which essentially means that if you're going long, you have to pay shorts. So Solomon Labs' approach was they'll be long spot assets and then they'll take out short positions and then collect that funding rate essentially that the longs are paying to them. Now, after 1010 and the market declining in a down market, that strategy doesn't work. That's only in the up market that strategy works. But yeah, apparently you're farming the spread. Yeah, I don't know what spread here. I have to look a little more into this. Let's see. Is there a video here? Yeah, looks like some spread, funding rate, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it's probably your long and short on different exchanges. So your net exposure is the same, but you're collecting funding on one and but I don't know. I think we're going to find out next week. So we'll make sure we get CDLT on. I know they have some sort of relationship with the Wiseman crew. So yeah, guys, I think that caps it. Unless there's any other tickers, I am thinking that is it. There's a number of projects that have migrated to Pump, and I now don't see them. Okay, here's Sauna. Let's check in on Sauna. Santa, this one, I think they were on the show, I believe, in November. So it was kind of pulling back. Yeah, I don't love this PA. I think, again, neobanking is super competitive. I met the guys at Met Dobby, really nice guys. They seem like really nice guys. All right, I'll give Foundry a shout out. I have no idea what caused this pump and this move here. We may or may not have them on. I want to see how this sustains. If there's a new product that they release that has some sort of traction, that's interesting. But Foundry just, again, 200K to 1.2 million, like that's a 5x in not a lot of days. So love what Lewis, I believe, love what Lect is doing. Always seems to be building something, but yeah. Oh, look at the candles on Moby. Let's go. I should really be opening this on. Let me get this open on Moby Screener. Sorry, guys. I'm a one-man show today. Look at these candles, man. Look at these candles. Beautiful. Look at this price action. Awesome price action. Go download the Moby app. It's a great product. I actually have it. Have a little bit of money in there playing around with it. Good product. I think Moby has got a lot of stuff coming product-wise that I think you guys are going to be excited about. With that, I'm going to cap it there. We need markets to turn. We need, until then, not a lot to do. If you have positions that are, underwater, like Top Fumbler's bubble and some really micro caps, I would seriously think about consolidating stuff into things that are market leaders like Met and others. And anything MetaDAO, I think, is super interesting. Obviously, CPT we think is interesting. Don't sit in old bags. Go be nimble in this market. I think is the play. So anyways, have a great day, stay safe, and we'll see you tomorrow with another great stream. Actually, speaking of which, tomorrow's highlights are we have Ranger Finance and another really great Meteor aligned product, Purina, that we met at Met Dobby. So no token yet from Purina, but I think they have a really novel way of earning yield that we're going to dig into that. But Ranger, current ICO that's ongoing. Our stream will be really at the final day before their ICO wraps up. So maybe we'll get some last minute hot takes from Barrett that will kind of, get people into that ICO. As always, thank you, Top Fumbler. Have a great rest of your day. Peace.